must fight. Amen. Sing, we must fight. Amen. Oh, we must fight. Injustice, we must fight. Corruption, we must fight. Amen. Oh, we must fight. Amen. Sing, we must fight. Injustice, we must fight. Extortion, we must fight. Amen. Isoleto. Please, let's sit down.
I like my starting that I should tell you congratulations. I say congratulations. Some of us today is our most happiest day in the history of our life. Although we may be celebrating our birthdays, but to me today is my birthday. Are we together? It's Soleto. Without wasting much time, I'd like to welcome each and every one of us present. And also want to start by welcoming those our guests. But please, if you are a representative, please, I would like to get your name for introduction. Please, if you are the one to give a credit, please. I'd like to start by introducing the former coordinator general of the Edo Civil Society organizations in the name of leftists, Omopude Aro.
Isoleto, African.
Those that have been in the committee, but I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of all members of the committee for this 2022 planning for World Human Rights Day. I want to welcome you all. Letis Aliu has been the PRO of this humble and reputable organization. Letis Aliu, I hope you are here. I can't be sure you are doing all as it were. God bless you. I want to welcome some of our guests that are already seated. I want to start by welcoming Mr. Is it Warriors or Warriors? Please show me. But I know that you are from the head of organization, the head of the department of VEP. Please, I would like you to correct me. God bless you, sir. The woman. Please, let's be that. It's the CSO Youth and Power. Umeje Sylvester, State Head of Operation Buo. Please, let's welcome our brother here. I like you to come to the meeting. Just come, you are head of operation. Okay. He's here to represent the commander, Mr. Mutari of SMAR. Please, I would like us to welcome. Okay. You would like to sit there. Okay, God bless you. Mr. Bobo Efanga. help me. I don't know how to pronounce the name that doesn't look like Nigerian name. God bless you. I hope you are forgiving me, sir. God bless you. Okay. I would like us to welcome the tech chairman, Lectis Martin Abuye, to give us some short presentation. Mr. Chairman, sir.
Society organization is about causing you to do the things you have not done before. So when you see, if it's about raising funds, trust leftist St. Keshi Lawrence. That one no go hard am at all. It's a big raise funds. But to do MC, not be fee, but you must learn am. So make we manage and bear with am. And in our nature, we like to draw and drag you out of your shares because we believe say it is important for us to know certain things wey we no dey used to, and as such na when you try am na you go know whether you go fit do am or not. Abi no be so? They say when you no test put leg for river you no go know the depth. Abi because e get some kind water wey you go dey see, you go think say e dey very close to you, but when you put leg, the leg go dey go inside before you know water don cover you. So make we bear with our anchor, and most especially for those wey the name e dey turn them upside down, sideways, right, left. Make una bear with am. Na Igbo man, and usually he like know how to pronounce naira compared to some other things. So make we also bear with am. He's a businessman. He's so little. Africa. Are we happy to be in the house today? Because the truth is say today na our day. Many days we dey celebrate, but today is very special to us. Not because of say I no go school, don't be make me dey speak pidgin English, but I like to speak language wey me and you go understand. Because the last time when I check, Ile Besama, he go police station go take person on bail, and he tell the person say na the person right to take to go on bail. They say who tell you here how you take no? He say how many hours a day now when you don't take put am for sale? Why you don't carry am go court? He no need to speak English because he no sabi speak English, but he know wetin she dey talk about. So I go like talk in the language wey everyone go take understand, because we get both the ones wey dey understand English and the ones wey no dey understand English, but all of us know our words right. Abi no be so? Isoleto. Very just now on the existing protocol, I like to welcome every one of us to today's World Human Rights Day, and I want to quickly say Happy World Human Rights Day to all of us. And as you can see, the thing is very straightforward: dignity, freedom, and justice for all. We have always told us that nobody be slave to anybody. I mean, we are all freeborn. We are all free human beings, and as such, nobody pass anybody. And because all of us are human beings, we get rights to the things where even President Obama will get rights to. Just that, you don't get immunity like President Muhammadu Buhari or the governor. So, as human being, you get dignity, and that dignity na your right. Nobody get the right to go say he want reduce you and make you less of a human being. Take for instance, say soldier say because you wear khaki and because you go overtake am or you no drive well or you do one thing or the other wey make am vex, he go come say, oh yeah, make you enter gutter, make you begin the road. That is reducing your dignity. You now understand that? And in reducing your dignity, it don't infringe on your fundamental human rights, and it don't undignify you. Because now I don't reduce you to nothing. And that waiting the world they tell us today that nobody has such right to reduce any fellow human being and reduce them to nothing. Every one of us get dignity. You go respect my person and I go respect your person. You respect me, I respect you. And it's a freedom. You see our logo, the shame of slavery, we don't already break down. And I'm very sure many of us will sit down here. We don't get free from every shackles of oppression. We get free from shackles of extortion. We get free from shackles of what? Injustice. Because we be free human being. And as such, because we don't know some things, we know say we get freedom. Nobody fit come tell you say he go just carry you go prison when you don't contravene. I mean, no, it's true. Only when you contravene, and when you contravene, police don't think just carry you go prison like that. You must carry you go court. Then we go come go you and for court. Come tell you say you dey guilty or you don't dey guilty. If you dey guilty, now court get the right to sentence you. And that kind of sentencing, that will not be infringement of your right because the court don discover say beyond every reasonable doubt say you commit that thing. That is the only time you can be held in servitude. But anything outside court conviction, you are a free human being and you have rights to freedom. Then justice. Everybody get rights to fair hearing, abi? If I do bad now, you get rights to take hear. The person won't tell you get rights. You supposed to hear my own side of the story. And when you discover say that thing when I do na really bad thing, you go tell me say that thing wey I do bad. Or if na say person commit crime, for example, man use that one. You must take the person and hear the person side of the story. And when you hear the person side of the story, if na the person really do bad, you go give am a due punishment. But if the person no do bad, you go also exonerate am. I mean, no be so. That way you accept what justice to that person. And it dey very wide. It dey very wide. But basically, what the word human rights is talking about today is that as human being, you have the right to dignity, you have rights to freedom, and you have rights to what? Justice as human being. And as such, we will continue to take advantage of this topic because not be saying that wetin we don't know before, we don't know am before, we don't dey practice am before, we don't dey exercise am before, but it's just a reminder for all of us to know say these things wey dem talk so na the things wey we suppose know and what get and practice as human being. I don't know how to do am, I don't know how to do am. Na wetin make us dey here. And I talk this one because of some of us wey maybe this one na just your first time, you no be member, dem just invite you on. Maybe for those say today many things dey wey you go need to learn. We get keynote speaker wey be our rep man for here from INEC. He go talk to us. And you know say election dey come 2023. As citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Edo State in particular, you get right to waiting to vote. And you also get right to be voted for. That's why if you decide to carry ballot, I mean not to. But if you don't carry ballot, it is your right to vote, and it is your right to ensure say your vote also what counts. Because one thing na to vote, the other thing na to make sure say the vote counts. Our rep dey he go talk to us in all of that. Then we get our speaker, a legal luminary. All of us know him. He will also talk to us about this topic of today wey concern human rights. And I won't beg us, once all this teaching starts, make we ensure say we pay very key attention so that we will know the kind of questions wey we need to ask so that they will also give us answers to these questions. So having said that, I like to declare the World Human Rights Day open. Me, I be Christian, and I will use the name of God Almighty for the sake of our brothers wey dey here, so that we all of us will dey the same page. I declare this World Human Rights Day open in the name of God Almighty. Isoleto, Isoleto, Isoleto. Please quickly, welcome. Thank you for the continuous support for this administration. And please, I quickly also like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Obo. You are welcome, sir. Your presence is highly recognized. Please, again, make we bear with our MC and make you go on to this matter wey they do to do. Isoleto.
Imagine that belongs to the political interest, and then somebody sees that picture and says, look at the INEC commissioner at an event organized by the political interest. It's so easy to do that. I want to thank the organizers of this event for inviting me to give the keynote speech here. I've always been interested in human rights, and that is why I actually studied human rights at master's degree level. I have my background in journalism and law, but I went on to study human rights specifically. Now, today is December 10th, 2022. We are celebrating the Human Rights Day. A little bit of history about the Human Rights Day and why December 10th was chosen. It was on this day in 1948 that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was ratified by the members of the United Nations. And so December 10th is being celebrated as the World Human Rights Day. Every year in the last about 12 years or so, for at least on 3 occasions, I've had to write newspaper articles on this day to commemorate the Human Rights Day, reflecting on the theme for each year. The theme for this year's celebration is dignity, freedom, and justice for all. The coordinator already helped by explaining this to us, what this thing actually signifies. Every human being, the mere fact that you are a human being means that you come in full package. One of those parts of your packages is that you have dignity. As a human being, you are entitled to your dignity. And on no occasion should your dignity be tampered with. If that is done, unless sanctioned by the law, then your rights, your fundamental rights have been abridged. As a human being, you have freedom. There are certain basic freedoms that every human being must have, or it is deemed that every human being has. It has nothing to do with where you come from. It has nothing to do with the language you speak. It has nothing to do with whether you are a man or a woman, whether you are a young person or an older person. It has nothing to do with the religion you practice or whatever you believe in. The mere fact that you are a human being, you have those freedoms. And there are so many of such freedoms. You have the freedom to speak. You have the freedom to believe and adhere to any faith. You have the freedom to move. You have the freedom to have your livelihood. So many freedoms out there. And justice for all. Justice should be such that anybody who accesses justice gets it. So justice should not be such that it is only the rich that can access justice. So if my right is breached and the right of that young child there is breached, justice for all means that he is able to accept and ask the Lord to protect him, just like I am. And so we have to ensure that the justice system is such that anybody can approach, no matter the status in life, no matter their income level. Now, bringing this to bear with the work I do as an electoral commissioner, my flair is to see a connection between the theme and the advancement of human rights through a credible electoral system. I would like to draw our attention to, remember I talked about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was passed in 1948 on December 10th. One of the provisions, one of the articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is in Article 21, Paragraph 1, which says, everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country directly and through freely chosen representatives. Did you get that? Everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country directly and through freely chosen representatives. This is where election comes in. As a Nigerian citizen, or as a citizen of any country where you may live in, you have the right to participate in the government of that country. So when government is taking decisions, you should be consulted, you should be part of that. And there are different ways you can be part of the government of your country. It says either directly or through your freely chosen representatives. How do you, when you say you have freely chosen your representatives, you can only do that through an election. And that is where INEC comes in. In Nigeria, the election management body is called the Independent National Electoral Commission for the conduct of elections into the office of President and Vice President, Governor and Deputy Governor, and then members of the National Assembly, the Senate, House of Representatives, and members of the State House of Assembly. Now, there is also another election management body, the State Independent Electoral Commission. Every state in Nigeria has a State Independent Electoral Commission, or ought to have. They are already recognized by the Constitution. They are the ones that conduct the local government election, that elects, where you elect your local government chairperson and your councillors. So, election is very important. Election is fundamental, is key to human rights. Even the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights guarantees every person the right to vote and be elected, and to have access to public service as well as free expression, assembly, and association. So as we assemble here, we have the right to freely assemble here, belong to different organizations, provided the purpose of that organization is not inimical to the well-being of society. So being members of illegal organizations that are involved in acts of criminality and violence is not one of those expressions of your right to assembly. It talks about right to peaceful assembly and association. All these are central in a democracy and the electoral system. Now, happily, the organizers of this event have chosen as topic election. Why is it my right to vote? And a simple and straightforward answer to that question is the provision of the Article 21, Paragraph 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which I earlier quoted. Let me quote it again. Everyone has the right to take part in the government of his or her country, directly or through freely chosen representatives. And that is what the purpose of the election is. So it is your right to vote in an election. Why is it your right to vote in an election? Let's look at it from a broader perspective. As citizens of Nigeria, we share a joint ownership of Nigeria. I own Nigeria as much as that young child or the young girl there owns Nigeria. She owns Nigeria as much as the governor of the state owns Nigeria. I own Nigeria as much as the president of the country owns Nigeria. Each of you owns Nigeria as much as the other person owns Nigeria. That some people are placed in position to govern does not make them more Nigerians than the rest of us. It is our inalienable right as citizens to be at the table where the decision is taken as to who governs us. And being at the table is participating in the election. As we all know, the next general election in Nigeria will come up next year. February 25, we'll have the presidential and national assembly election where you will be expected to vote for 3 different persons. You vote for who you want as president, and of course, the running mate as a vice president. You vote for who you want to be your senator, and you also vote for who you want to be your House of Representatives member. And then 2 weeks after that, on March 11th, you have another round of elections where you will vote for the governor of your state or the member of the House of Assembly representing you. However, in those states, you will not vote for the governor of your state because you already voted for your governor of your state 2 years ago in 2020. Edo is one of those states that has what we call off-cycle elections. And we know how we got here. We got here because the election was conducted, the wrong persons were initially declared winner, they started serving in office, and then until the court eventually said, no, you were not supposed to be the winner, you were not the winner, you are not supposed to be the governor, and the rightful person was placed in as governor, and the person's 4 years tenure started from there. And so when the 4 years tenure ended, it ended after the rest of the people had been elected. So Edo State is one of those places that we have off-cycle governorship election. Now, why do you need to vote? We acknowledge that it is your right, but you know, it is also your right to decide your right or not, right? So you have the right to speak, but you can decide not to speak, right? Nobody can force you to speak, or nobody should force you to speak. You have the right to move, but if you decide today I'm not going out of my house, nobody can compel you to go out of your house, right? You have the right to assemble with others. You can decide I don't want to belong to any association. It's your right. So, for every right, it is for you to accept it, it is for you to use it. Now you have the right to participate in the government of your country. You can also decide, well, I don't care, whoever gets there, whatever the person does, that's all right. You should also be ready for the consequences. Okay? So if you don't participate in determining who governs you, it means you're ready to accept whoever others determine to govern you. And how the person governs you, you cannot challenge and say, after all, I will not vote for you. So when somebody becomes the member representing you in the House of Assembly, whether or not you voted in that election, you cannot say he's not my representative. He is your representative in law and in fact. So he can take decisions that bind you. He can take decisions that you may not be happy with, but well, that's it. The law recognizes him as a person to speak on your behalf. So wouldn't you rather then decide and determine who should govern you? Because whether you decide, whether you participate or not, other people will participate and somebody will emerge and that person will govern you and take decisions. You may think, I don't care what goes on, I don't care, I'm comfortable enough. After all, like we say in Nigeria, we are our local government. We provide our water, we dig borehole, because in most instances, the public water supply system may not be effective. So we have our boreholes. If we don't have boreholes, we are buying water from those who have and are selling to us. Right? So you provided yourself a basic amenity, water. You also generate your own electricity. Because many times the public power supply may not be there, may not be effective. So you buy a generator. So you are providing for yourself. You pay for your refuse disposal, right? Virtually everything that government should ordinarily do, the society should do for you, you end up doing it. So some people can say, oh, so why do I bother? But the truth is, when you don't bother, you have more of such situations. So you cannot even influence the quality of education that your child gets. Okay? And then your future is being driven by people you would not have wanted to drive your future. Whether we like it or not, those in government do a lot of things that determines not only our future but even our present. In fact, it even sometimes can even affect our past, because they can determine that they don't teach history, and so even our past may be lost. So you lose our past, we lose our past, we lose our present, and our future is not guaranteed simply because we did not participate. And I can tell people, it is not just enough for you to vote. It is not just enough for you to watch your vote and results are announced. That's only the beginning. You should be passionate in following up what happens, what decisions are being taken. If the decision has to be challenged, by all means, challenge it. And we've had decisions of government challenged in court and reversed by the court. So, as active citizens, you should be involved in the entire gamut of governance, not just the electoral process. But since we are talking about the electoral process, we've talked about how you can participate, the fact that you have the right to participate, why you should participate. Then the next question people want to ask is, what will it matter if I participate or not? People will ask, will our votes count? How many people here believe that their votes will count? Okay, let me ask you. 10 years ago, how many people believe that their votes counted? 10 years ago. Okay. At what time did you agree that your votes were beginning to count? This present time doesn't tell us, is it today? 20? Somebody said from 2019. Okay. Who else has a different date to use? 2011. Okay. Who else?
Our votes started counting now for coming years because of what is on ground.
Sorry?
I said our votes started counting now for 2023 because of what is on ground.
Okay. Yeah, but when you say based on what is on ground, it means you see what is on ground already in some of the elections that have been conducted.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the point I want to stress. I agree with you. I only got into the Electoral Commission 5 years ago when I was appointed the Resident Electoral Commissioner in 2017. And I'm just starting my second tenure. A tenure is 5 years. I'm just starting my second tenure as Resident Electoral Commissioner. But before now, I've always been passionate about the electoral process. I will tell you, I started following elections in Nigeria in 1979, the Second Republic. I was just finishing primary school, but I was very passionate. I was following, I can still remember the political parties, the candidates, that contested elections, what their slogans were, what they were offering, it was very robust. And then in 1983, I followed the elections that I had my own book where I was writing the results of elections as they were being announced. And I was sharing with my friends, in secondary school, I was sharing with them, analyzing elections as far back as 1983 as a secondary school student. And then fast forward, in 2011, I was doing the same thing. 2015, I was doing the same thing. This time, we now have social media, right? So I was doing it on Facebook, I was doing it on Twitter. I was sharing it with people, the authentic results of elections. that at the end of the 2015 election, my Facebook page, I had a lot of people who followed and were sharing what I was sharing. And at the end of the election, somebody said, "Oh, you know what, as far as we are concerned, you are the INEC we knew." And then some other person said, "You know, you did so much in enlightening people about the election, before the election." In fact, some people said, I was the one that caused them to go and register. Because of the way I kept talking about it, I was running a daily countdown on Facebook and on Twitter, telling people why they should participate in the election. Okay? So somebody said, he thinks INEC should give me a job. That was in 2015. And then in 2017, the president appointed me a resident electoral commissioner. I didn't go to ask for the job. I was just doing my work. I was in my organization then actually doing my work. I was in the same society situation group that was observing the election, you know, making reports, going around and making suggestions as to how to make elections more credible. And then a few of us were brought in to serve as resident electoral commissioners. And we've, since that time, tried to practicalize some of the issues we had outside. So the point I'm trying to make is, which we've agreed, the electoral process has become more credible than they ever were before. So it is for us to get involved in that. Now people have asked, what's the difference in what's going to happen in 2023 from what happened in 2019 and in other elections? One of the critical things is the introduction of the bimodal voter accreditation system device, BVAS. I'm sure we all know of BVAS, right? We know of BVAS, we've heard of it. Do we know how it works? Okay, I'm going to tell us how it works. That thing that we call BVAS. Okay, how many of you were involved in registering this last 1 year? Yes? You went to the INEC registration center, right? There was a small machine, a tab, where they used to take your picture, and you also put your fingers there for your fingerprints to be captured. That device at that time was called IVED. Okay? IVED, INEC Voter Enrollment Device. Okay? It is that same device you saw that will be used on election day, and it is called BVAS. BVAS means Bimodal Voter Accreditation System Device. How does it work? When you come, you must come with your voter's card. Without your voter's card, you cannot vote. So you come with your voter's card, unlike in the days of the smart card reader, where you put your voter's card is placed on the smart card reader, and it reads it that it is authentic, right? And then you put your finger for us to know that you are the owner of that card before you are allowed to vote. People complain that there were manipulations, you know, that the smart card reader, the BBC could have been cloned and all that. And then at the time you were accredited, you know, even if your fingerprint was not captured, the electoral official might have allowed you to vote because they wanted the compromise. So we now introduce BVAS. Now BVAS is different that when you come with your PVC, they won't put your PVC on the device. They will just check your number and insert the last few digits on it, and your information will come up on that device, because all the details of the registered voters in that polling unit is already programmed inside that BVAS for that polling unit. So when they put in yours, your information will come up. But we want to be sure that you are the owner of that identity. And that's where the bimodal method comes. We check your fingerprint. If your fingerprint matches with the one that is in the system, that means you are the owner of that identity, right? And you'll be allowed to vote. Then when we're using the smart card reader, you say, that there were some people, their fingerprints would not really work because of the nature of what they do. Their fingerprints have been bruised, or it's too oily, or it's too dry, and so that's why the smart card reader did not accredit everyone. We said, okay, if your fingerprint is not captured, let's try your facial. So we tried to take your picture. Remember when we did the last registration or even transfer, you were made to take 2 pictures. Remember, we said the first one, do not smile. The second one, smile. You know, that is where we have problems with many of you. When we ask you to smile, and you wanted to hold your smile, you were asking us why we want you to smile. Are you going to pay for my smile? What is there to smile about the country? All that was part of the technology, advanced technology we are using. So if for any reason we cannot accredit you with your fingerprint, we should be able to accredit you with your facial. Because the facial takes note of the contour of your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and you understand, that's why he says smile, don't smile. All those help. So if for any reason we can't accredit you with your fingerprint, we would be able to accredit you with your facial. And in the event both of them fail, do you know what that means? What that means is that you're not the owner of that identity you claim. It would then mean that you brought somebody else's card, or maybe even clone somebody's card and claim to be you. So all those people who are saying that there are people who are cloning cards, or there are people who are buying off cards, or snatching cards that belong to other people and are keeping them, INEC has news for you. You can't use it on election day. The only way you can vote for another person on election day is for you to come with the person's fingerprints or the person's face. So maybe that's what those people who want to vote for others should start planning how best they can do that. If you can effectively bring the person's fingerprint, well and good. If you can effectively bring the person's face and carry it in your face, well and good. But you see, the technology saw that even identical twins are different in their fingerprints. No 2 persons have the same fingerprint. So even the facial, they may look alike, but that technology will distinguish you. So if you are at election point at a polling unit and you see some people come and they tell you it did not accredit them, don't feel pity for them and say, INEC wants to, you know that word you love to use a lot. They want to disenfranchise us. Just know that the person is not the owner of that identity. That's just the truth. And we have perfected in such a way that if you are not accredited, there's no other way you can vote. There will be nothing like, let's do manual. There will be nothing like, let's use instant off. All those words are part of Nigeria's electoral history. They are dead and buried. We won't do that again. If it is the beavers that malfunctions, we will bring a replacement beavers. But beavers, you must use. Beavers, you must be accredited with. And for everybody accredited, the beavers shows indicate how many people have been successfully accredited. So by the time the election is over, the beavers already shows. So even if your polling unit, there are 500 registered voters, and 400 people collected their permanent voters card. So we could expect 400 people to vote. On election day, if it is only 20 persons that turn up, and of that 20 persons, only 18 were accredited. The beavers has captured 18. So you cannot have more votes than 18. You know, those of you who are old enough in the game, you know that back in the days, by the time the voting has finished, you know, your community leaders will say, total number of persons who voted here is just 18. And it's not good enough for our community. They will say that we don't have the population, we don't have the voting strength. Meanwhile, look at our register, we have 500 registered voters. You know what they used to do then? They'll say, let us share the remaining of the votes. Let us assume that everybody came out and voted. And they will now tell the parties, depending on the strength in the area, they have a sharing formula. Okay, party A will give you 50% of the votes. Party B will take 30%. Party C 20%. At least at all na impact, so they share it, and then the results do not reflect the voting. We have passed that stage because the beavers has come to stay. It will capture the total number of persons who've been accredited, and you can't have more than that number of registered voters. But that's not the end of beavers on election day. After election is completed and the ballots are sorted, counted, and the results recorded for every political party, we will still use our result sheet that you are used to, the one we call from EC8A, polling unit result sheet. We will write the result there physically, okay, and sign. And the party agents, accredited party agents, they are there. They are also allowed to sign. But in the event a party agent says, I'm not signing, it has nothing to do with the authenticity of the result. Even if all the party agents say they are not signing because they are not satisfied, it does not stop the authenticity of that result then. Okay? So the result is entered, signed. Copies of the election result are given to the party agents. So everybody has their own copy. They can do whatever they want to, maybe snap it for them. But the original copy, we will use the beavers again and snap it. When we snap it, that is what will be uploaded to the INEC results viewing portal, that everybody anywhere in the world who has access to the internet can view the results. So by the time we go for word collation, when we get there, the presiding officer goes there with the physical results. By the way, after that election at the polling unit, there's a postal size result sheet that will also be filled and pasted at the wall of the polling unit. So anybody else can go and see, take pictures, if they want. So at the word collation unit, the results of all the polling units are brought, physical result sheets, and they are also already snapped in the beavers, which is uploaded. At that point, they will cross-check that the figure you have in the beavers and number of accredited voters matches with the results in the result sheets. Okay? Yes. That is when it's authenticated. All the other levels of accreditation, collation follows the same pattern. Okay, my time is up. Okay, I'll zoom out. Follows the same pattern. So by the time we finish voting will stop by 2:30 p.m. It starts from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. But at 2:30 p.m., if there's anybody on the line to be accredited to vote, the person will be allowed to vote. So even if it takes up to another hour or more, for the last person on the line there at 2:30 p.m. to vote, we'll allow the person to vote, and then the votes are counted. That is why in the recent elections you've seen, even with the new governorship election, those of you who were here, you will know that by the time it was about 7 p.m., people already knew who had won and who had lost. The political parties themselves knew who had won and who had lost because they have the result, and the result is online. So this has so far reduced a lot of the violence that used to accompany the elections, especially at the collation point and at the point of announcing the result. This is what INEC is doing to give election credibility, and this should be enough reasons for you to not only participate in the election but trust in the system, that at the end of election, that whoever emerges and is declared winner actually emerges because majority of people actually voted for that person. So this is my message to you on the Human Rights Day. It is your right to vote. Please exercise it. Okay, I also need to tell you, remember that I said you cannot vote if you don't have your voter's card. I know some people already have the voter's cards. I know there are some people who apply for the voter's card and have not collected theirs yet, right? From Monday, 12th of December, all the cards will be available for you to pick up from the INEC local government office. At some point, we will go to the wards to get closer for people to pick them. But there's a deadline for the collection of the cards, 22nd of January. You have enough time to collect it. Why we have to submit at that time before the election is because the new Electoral Act says that before the election, we will have to show, now we have about 92 million registered voters across the country. In Edo State, we have 2.5 million registered voters. But we will have to show specifically how many registered voters, how many voters' cards have been collected. So in Edo State, even though we have 2.5 million registered voters, before the election we will tell you how many voters' cards have been collected. So assuming only 2 million voters' cards have been collected, we cannot have more than 2 million votes in Edo State. But we know that even at that, there's no way we can even have exactly the number of cards that are out. Because some of the people who collected the cards, some of them have died. Some have traveled. Some will be ill. Some may be giving birth that time. So they won't be available to come and vote. That is why we still need the beavers to capture the accreditation. So those figures will come down to details in up to polling unit by polling unit. So even before you go to vote, your polling unit, you have 700 registered voters, but you know that only 450 collected their cards. You don't expect more than 450 people to come on election day to vote. So from Monday 12, those who haven't collected their cards, visit our INEC local government office where you are registered to vote, where you're supposed to vote. Sometimes you may have lived in, maybe you are in Lagos, and you register to say you want to vote in your state, So you will go to the local government office that covers the polling unit where you're going to do. That's where the INEC office, that's where you collect your voters card. Thank you very much.
Let's go for our keynote speaker. Please, sir, there will be a question and answer. 8, 9. Please, we have 9 coverage. It's 9. Wait, I will take it for the back. Start to the next
Isuleto, please, so that we don't feel disenfranchised starting from here down when the election never reach. Go straight to your question. We'll start from the back. 1, 2, 3. Take your numbers. 1, 2. Woman leader. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He said 9. I said 9 we can just now. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Go straight to your question. If you beat round it, the mic will be collected.
Excuse me, let's welcome.
Please, sir, I want to ask for those that lost their sleep, because while we are doing the registration, the sleep was given. Most of us have misplaced it. So I don't know how we can get the class card, if we can get it.
My name is Comrade Dogun Steve. My question goes like this. You said like this last one, people asking the registrars to smile, and the other side, and like we went register for the first time, I think we didn't have such opportunity. Then two, when you said we should go to the ALEC local government, I think that will be stressful for the people. They should bring it to their ward. Thank you, sir.
Africa. I remember my uncle said there is someone on sleep. Sir, I want to complain. In 2015, the this capturing machine, it refused to capture my finger. So in 2019 too, the same thing. But I have to force my way. Even the people voting there, they will say, this woman, she's voting in this polling unit. So in case, like what you just explained now, sir, if it happens, what do I do that day? Because me, I want to vote.
Hey Africa, my name is Comrade, it's very precious. Hello sir, please I want to ask a question. Last week, I went to the INEC office at the school, one of the top new register for Alaska. They said, sorry, I have something. I want to collect my new voter card. They said I can't collect it, it's not online. But I was registered, that was February this year at Airport Road. They said, well, what about the old one? If I have the old one, say I have that misplaced it, that was 2015. When I traveled to, I misplaced it. So it's okay. One day I used to register the old one. Then I gave them my name, my house address, and then my date of birth. When they check it for mine, it's on. They said I should come and collect the old one, that the new one I have not been registered. But I said they capture my face, I complete, and they take my data. So why I see that the new one is not captured? They say that the one is not registered. I'm among those people.
So your question is, what can be done on your case?
Yeah, exactly.
To be attended to. Next.
They to collect the old one. That's going to, they will send my total to Abuja. That's going to pay 15,000.
Okay, sorry. Let me take the. You registered previously. You had a voter's card. Yes. Anybody who registered from 2010, 2011, you don't need to register again. Once you registered in 2010, 2011, for 2011 election, you know that was the first time INEC introduced the electronic voters register. Your data, your fingerprint, your picture is already in the system. So what you ended up doing, listen up, what you ended up doing in February this year, attempting to register again, at the point of registration, yes, you were registered. But you see, we have to subject that to a test of all the previous registrations, more than 84 million. And it matched, hold on, it matched with that your own information. Because like I said, your fingerprint is unique to you. And your facial is unique to you. So when that happens, what we do is, we cancel the newest of the registrations. Because the oldest in time is still there. So the only way you can vote would be with the old information whenever you were registered to vote. But unfortunately for you, you have lost that voter's card, right? You have lost it. So you can't vote. Because for you to vote, you must come with a voter's card. If you were truthful in February when you went to register, hold on. Look, I've been involved in this thing, so I know all the excuses people are going to make. When you went to register, I am sure they told you, if you are registered before, do not register afresh. Tell us the truth. If you want a new voter's card, if you lost your card, we'll produce a new one. If you want to vote in a different place, we'll do a transfer. If there was mistake in your information, including date of birth, we will change it for you. Because the truth of it is this. Many people who registered previously registered as underage voters. Okay? So in 2011 registration, many people who came and said they were born in 1992, which in 2011 meant they were at least 18, 19. Some of them were 12 years old. Right? Or even younger. They got registered. Manipulation. You know how this happens. Okay? So they got registered. Now, a lot of those people, the date of birth they use there has caught up with them with other information. Banking, they can't transact bank because the BVN date of birth is different from that one. Children who have to write school sets or other exams, they are having problems. So they came to us and said they want to change their date of birth. For me as an individual, I was against that. People changing the date of birth. That you're stuck with whatever you chose there. Because if we change it for you, in our system, what it will then show is that you came in 2011 told us your real date of birth, which showed you were 8 years old, and INEC registered you. And all of you will blame INEC. Can look at INEC, you registered under 8 people, not accepting that you lied. Okay, so that is one part of it. If you had told the people in February that you had previously registered, even if your card had been lost, they would have helped you update your information and do a transfer or something. But you see, the other problem many people had was that the fake date of birth they used then, they couldn't remember. And so for us to call up your information, we need your surname as it was then, your first name as it was then, the state where you registered, and your date of birth as you use it then. So if you come and give a date of birth that is not the same as you used then, it will not come up on the system. So they'll probably tell you you're not on the register of voters, and you went ahead and registered again. Then by the time at the back end we did the scanning, it matched with the one that was in the system. That is why we canceled the new one. If you remember, sometime this year, earlier, maybe about April, when INEC came up with an analysis of all those who registered in 2021, state by state, the number of people who registered, the number of registrations that was successful, and the number that was invalid. Across the country, the percentage of invalid registration based on attempt at multiple registration was about 44%. In some states, it was higher than half. I was in River State then. I was read in River State then. And I was telling the people, don't register more than once. When the result came for River State, the percentage of multiple registration was 53%. And this is my explanation, the explanation I gave to them. I said, what it means is that, people were also complaining. It takes a lot of time to register. Some of us came there, we couldn't register. What it meant was that on a given day, in a given registration center, if I then registered 100 persons in River State, it meant that 53 of those persons whom we registered had no business being registered. And they had blocked the opportunity of 53 other legitimate potential registrants from being attended to that day. Meanwhile, those other 53 would blame INEC that we came and wasted our time here, not knowing that it is following registrants like them that messed up, wasted the time. So that is what happened. Unfortunately, at the time you found out this information, it was late because we had closed the continuous voter registration. What it means is that because you don't have your voter's card for that road registration, in 2023 you will not vote. So
about 15,000 naira.
Yeah. Anybody who asks you for money, you see the person knows, you see this is the problem. When you don't do the right thing, people want to take advantage of you. Whether the person is an INEC staff or not, the person was trying to take advantage of you. If you give us the details of the person, we'll follow up. Okay? That was criminal. Then somebody talked about fingerprint capture failure. That many times with the smart card reader, a fingerprint could not be captured. Did you try to vote in 2020, the Edo State Governor's election? Where that is slip for collection? We are told people then try and photocopy it or take a snapshot of it on your phone. What will be important is that you know your number. And when you come, you can actually check in the voters register to check your number. If you know your VIN, that will help. But it will only mean that it will take a longer time to attend to you to give you your card, unlike people who have the slips. I think after, yes, for that one, so let's see.
It is done. Okay. My question is the time you said we are going to vote, you said from 8 to 2:30. 8:30 to 2:30. But in other civilized countries, they do their voting for like 3 days and all of that. My question is, why are we in the morning? Can't we take our time as well so as we can get it once and all?
in Soreto. I'm Leftist Basi Asukwa. My question is, please sir, I want to find out because in the previous election I've been observing that domestic election observers don't vote. So I want to know if there is any law that bar domestic observers from voting, or is INEC that don't create that opportunity for them to vote. Thank you.
I'm Leftist Sunday. My question goes to direct to you, sir. I want to know how prepared is INEC in countering vote buying and as well hacking of the electoral process? Because this is computing, this is computer, in the computer world, anything can happen.
I'm Leftist Sunday. I want to know if I can still use my voter's card to vote if unfortunately my PVC has been cloned or the number copy.
I'm from the Saturday City from Center for Democratic Values and Good Governance. My question goes like this. Chairman, you talk say this dam, they don't give they don't they quota when they buy, say they don't use it and vote. But why are politicians still buying voter card till today and still buying it? I want to know the reason, tell us the reason why they are still buying voter card if they cannot be able to use it to
Leftist antagonists of the picture. So my question is this. You said the beavers capture face and fingerprints. What about those that were captured, say 2011, and by accident or default or maturity, their fingerprints or their faces are deformed now? What is their face, sir?
The other thing we can do on insecurity and terror that in the east is more severe as we speak. How are you able to control the day of voting from attacks from people that want to vote? That's my major problem.
I have a lot of questions. But what I can also do for you, I know that you have a WhatsApp portal. So any question that may be asked there, you can forward to me on WhatsApp. I'll respond and send that to you. Now, for the time of vote, an additional information for those who have lost their sleep. You can actually go online to search for your details online, and you can do a snapshot and print out of that. And when you bring it, it will show those details that were on your sleep, so we can attend to you fast, rather than having to wait to go through that. Somebody talked about the time of voting being too short, and say, why don't we do like some countries that they spend up to 3 days? I'm sure that if Nigeria was one of those countries that did 3 days, and others did it for 5 hours, there will be people who say, why are we using 3 days to do election when in other places they use 5 hours? There's this tendency for us to think that what is happening elsewhere is better than what is happening here. Every election is a reflection of the society we are and what our lifestyle is. People are already complaining that why should we shut down a society for one whole day because of election? Some people can't trade that day, and now you want to use 3 days to do that. What are you going to do in 3 days that people can't do in hours? Okay? So far, there is no evidence to show that anybody turned up to vote on election day and not vote, okay? Because there were too many people. You can allow everybody to vote, provided they are there to take the fact. If it's just like saying somebody saying there's a flight from here to Kano on a given day and time, and you know the time the flight is going to take off, and you take all your time and go there late and say, why couldn't they wait for me? In fact, there are so many of us that wanted to catch that flight. Now you've stopped us from traveling. You are given the window of opportunity from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. The country is shut down that day. You don't have any other thing to do that day. So what's stopping you from going to vote at that point? What else would be the justification? the issue about election observers, whether they can vote on election. There is no law in Nigeria that says anybody cannot vote or should not vote. Even the election officials, there is no law that says they cannot vote. It is just the practical reality. I am registered to vote in Abuja, where I live. I am working in Edo State as resident electoral commissioner. Even if I wanted to vote on election day, I will be at duty, so I cannot vote. Same thing for the person who wants to be an election observer. It is your choice that you want to be an observer. You can decide to be an observer in the polling unit where you are registered to vote, so that you can vote and still be an observer. But it is not for you to decide for yourself whether or not. Okay, so for me as an election umpire, assuming I registered to vote in Edo State, or I was an umpire in the place I registered to vote, and I could vote, I will have to weigh it. Would my voting encourage others? Because if people believe that as an election umpire, I have my preference too, they may also think that I will do everything to ensure that my preferred candidate wins. So the same thing for you as an observer. If people feel that this person who is observing election is also voting or has also been campaigning for someone, they will not also trust you as an election observer. So the choice is yours to make. Whether you want to be an observer and ensure that things go well, or you want to vote and ensure that your candidate has a chance of winning, the choice is yours. Vote buying and hacking. Okay. Why do we think there's vote buying? Was there vote buying in 1919? No, 1999? Was there vote buying in 1993? No, 2003, 2007. If there was it as much as it is now? So what has changed? What has changed is that because the elections have improved, people are winning election on the basis of valid votes cast, that desperate politicians are looking for short-cut means of getting people to vote for them. Who are those involved in vote buying? Definitely not INEC. So it's the politicians, it's the political parties, it's the voters. Initially when vote buying started, it was that those political party candidates, political parties and supporters were trying to woo people to vote for them, so they paid the money. But we have reached a stage where even the voter determines in his or her mind that he wants his or her votes to be bought. So we've had situations on election day where we set up polling units and we are ready for voting to start. The voters are there. They are not willing to join the line because the vote buyers have not arrived yet. So this now becomes a societal problem for us to tackle as a society. It's not just INEC's issue. What INEC can do, and which we have been trying to do, is to ensure that we provide secrecy when you're coming to vote, how we position the people. But you see somebody who is determined to let somebody know how he or she has voted, so as to make a claim to the money he has been paid or is going to be paid, the person will find a way of exposing it. So the person finishes thumbprinting and now comes to cast the ballot. He ruffles and unruffles the ballot paper in such a way that he just wants people to know how he's voting. So this is a societal problem. Like the example I like to give people, the corollary I like to go on is that it's like the issue of prostitution. There's a willing buyer and there's a willing seller of the services. There's very little you can do to stop that. If somebody is willing to sell his goods and somebody is willing to buy his goods, what they can only appeal to people's conscience that you cheapen yourself when you ask to be paid for deciding who your leader should be. And then somebody talked about hacking. So far, our systems have not been hacked. And the example, when I talk you through how the process is going to be, the use of the smart card, the beavers, what we transmit are not figures, okay, like text figures. No, it is a picture we are transmitting. We take a snapshot of real result sheet, which real result sheet still exists in physical format. And the agents of the political parties also have their own copies, which is as good as the original. So even if somebody hacks into the system that has the picture that was transmitted, what is he going to do? Is he going to get into the picture and change the figures in the picture? It's not possible. Or is he going to change that picture for another picture? If it is not the one that is the same with the physical result sheet, then it cannot fly. Somebody said, I said that if your card is cloned and the person comes to vote claiming to be you, he can't vote because the fingerprint won't match with yours and the pictures won't match with yours. And it will not stop you, the original owner of the card, if you come with your card from voting. Why are politicians still buying voters' cards? I think we should have asked the politicians why they are still buying. A lot of people find it difficult to accept that the music has changed and they need to change the dance steps. People still think that things are the same. When we told people do not register more than once, they thought we were joking. After we always say that, and they registered and passed through. But this year, we have seen that the technology has come to an end and is working. The first person that asked the question, it shows that he registered more than once and the second registration has been cancelled. Somebody said, okay, what if somebody had had an accident from the time he first registered? It's unlikely that you'll have the accident that erases your fingers, your fingerprint, and at the same time erases your face. That would be one in maybe a million time situation. So even if that happens, it will not affect the outcome of the election. It will just be taken as somebody who didn't come to vote at all. So it's not something we should spend so much time on. Then about the issue of insecurity. Yes, this is a real issue. It's a threat that belongs to us as Nigerians completely, not just INEC. INEC's duty is to set up elections. People come to vote, we count the votes and announce the result. Yes, but on for election we work with the security agencies. We have the interagency consultative committee on election security that is made up of INEC, the police, the DSS, all the military, all the security forces. We meet regularly to plan for the election and strategize on how best to ensure that we handle security during the election. Thank you very much.
And maybe some of us are regretting now, because as of January this year, we discovered that during the continuous voters registration, over 50,000 were registered, and 19,000 plus was invalid. Am I correct, sir?
Very correct.
Now over 19,000 was invalid because people went to, you don't register. All you need, if you want transfer, tell them they will transfer you. It was announced. I think we also did a sensitization in that regard. But people will still do what they want to do. That is to tell us now again that 2023 election, we have a responsibility in our hands, and we must sensitize the people on how to vote and what to do when they get to their polling units. How not to sell their vote, because if you sell your vote, you sell your future, because it's small money wey dem go give you. Nah. You no go carry you reach 2 days, you don't finish. So what is the need? And you will suffer for another 4 years. This will then too. I'd like to appreciate our keynote speaker. Thank you for the information, and we say we are grateful. Quickly, let us call ourselves a little with a solidarity song. Then we'll go straight to the next discussion for 15 minutes, we go for the award so that we can do ta and leave the solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We shall always fight for our right. We are overcome. We are overcome. We are overcome. We shall overcome. We are overcome. We shall overcome today. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. We shall overcome today. So let's go. In Africa. Let's say that. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the work of Edo State. Please put your hands together. Come on.
Every year on Amigo Microphone, I really do big for us because most of us don't feel follow through. Now the one who they hear, now they speak to. I strongly believe the next person when they come, I call him Option. That is what I call him. Whenever I call him, they say my name is Barrister Osa over here. I bet if we do not be on every class.
Good afternoon, comrades and gentlemen, my very distinguished organ, Dr. Baluana, Chairman, Interim Chairman of TEC, and other distinguished comrades seated at the high table. Let me firstly say thank you for the privilege given to me to say a word or two of what I know concerning the questions posed as a topic assignment for topic of discussion, which is how fundamental are the rights of citizens. I've tried to put my thoughts together because of a very tight schedule. I sent same to my clerk to help me put them together, print out. He had done 2 of it because I did them in 3 places, and the third one she inadvertently did not bring it out. But it's in my phone, and I will pick some things from there. But at the end of the session, I will send it electronically to the organizers, and I'm sure they will send to your platforms, or probably print it in hard copies and distribute. The topic is how fundamental are the rights of citizens. I've also been regimented to time, which is 15 minutes. I'll just see how much I can do within this time. Now, an attempt at answering the question posed by the topic without any comment on this component may become counterproductive. As a result, I wish to first look at the word citizen. Citizens, since rights cannot exist in isolation without citizens. Legal rights or rights duly recognized by law can only be enforced by citizens and for their benefits. Who then are citizens? Citizens will be referred to as persons who have been conferred with specific rights and duties by the laws of any given country or nation. A citizen of Nigeria, according to sections 25 to 27 of the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, is any person born in Nigeria or outside Nigeria before Nigerian independence or thereafter, that any of his or thereafter, that any of his or her grandparents is a member of an indigenous community in Nigeria, or anybody from another country who is duly registered as a citizen of Nigeria upon his application and the satisfaction of the prescribed conditions. Deliberating on the rights of citizens without also considering the corresponding duties or obligations required of citizens by law will certainly be seen as selfish and patriotic. For instance, any community that its laws are not obeyed will always embrace anarchy, and none of the rights conferred on the citizens will be realized, no matter how well they are provided in the statute books. So for the rights conferred on Nigerian citizens to be enjoyed, the citizens themselves must adhere to the reciprocal duties required of us as enshrined in Section 24 of the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria, amended, namely, so we A. Abide by the Constitution, respect its ideals and its institutions, the national flag, the national anthem, the national pledge, and legitimate authorities. 2. Help to enhance the power, prestige, and good name of Nigeria. Defend Nigeria and render such national service as may be required. C. Respect the dignity of other citizens and the rights and legitimate interests of others, and live in unity and harmony in the spirit of common brotherhood. D. Make positive and useful contribution to the advancement, progress, and well-being of the community where he resides. E. Render assistance to appropriate and lawful agencies in the maintenance of law and order. And F. Declare his income honestly to appropriate and lawful agencies and pay taxes properly. The above duties can be regarded as the Bible of the rights of citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, particularly the duties contained in items number C above, which encapsulates the entire fundamental rights contained in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. In juxtaposition, the rights of citizens or human rights with legal rights and fundamental rights. A detailed analysis of the clothing need concept is proximate here. These three rights are the main rights available to the citizens of any country. While human rights pertain to the rights through which an individual can enjoy a just, fair, and free life, fundamental rights are unique to a given country that supports democracy as in Nigeria. Similarly, legal rights are those rights that are conferred on a person by laws of a given country. Fundamental rights are the oldest species of rights and are as inalienable and inviolable as it is immutable, that they cannot be taken away from any person without recourse to law. The entrenchment of fundamental rights in the Nigerian Constitution could be traced to the 1960 Independence Constitution. The 1960 Independence Constitution and the Republican Constitution of 1963 have provisions for the protection of fundamental rights. The entrenchment of human rights provisions in our Constitution is fundamental and aimed at creating a society that protects political freedom as well as social and economic well-being of Nigerian citizens. The fundamental nature of the rights of citizens have been given judicial preeminence in Nigeria. In several decided cases, one of which I wish to make reference to is the one in the case of Federal Republic of Nigeria versus Ipeku, which was decided in 2003, where Nikitobi stated, thus, fundamental rights are inherent in man because they are part of man. If a hierarchical order of other laws, if a hierarchical order of our laws is drawn, fundamental rights will not only take a pride of place, but the first place. Accordingly, neither the courts of law nor tribunals have the right to encroach on the rights of the individual in the judicial process. This is exactly what the tribunal did. Such power is not available to them. The above judgment of the apex court surmises the fact that the rights of citizens are so sacrosanct and fundamental, especially those listed in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. Namely, rights to liberty, to life, right to dignity of human person, right to personal liberty, right to fair hearing, right to private and family life, right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion, right to freedom of expression and the press, right to peaceful assembly and association, right to freedom of movement, right to freedom from discrimination, and right to acquire and own individual property anywhere in Nigeria, are together considered in the standard for basis of equality and our common existence in the Nigerian society. Fundamental rights serves to limit the power of the federal and state governments and governments generally have over the citizens, and even citizens over each other. Fundamental rights uphold the rights of citizens of a country and establishes the legal rights and individuals, and establishes the legal rights that individuals are entitled to within the legal system. Fundamental rights is a group of ideas that are recognized by the courts as being necessary for every person in Nigeria in this context. The courts and laws protect the citizens and their given privilege from the government, and any regulations that they impose or that encroaches on these rights, individuals, corporations, and other entities are also not allowed to infringe on a person's fundamental right. The question will be, is this what we have today? Fundamental rights are the standard to which everyone, regardless of sex, status, tribe, religion, political affiliation, or whatnot, must be treated equally and respectfully in society. Fundamental rights are used in constitutional law where human rights are used, whereas human rights are used in a broader context. The terms, however, are interchangeable and represent the same idea. These rights are inherent to everyone, regardless of background. We remember the great singer Fela Kuti in his song "Human Rights Now My Property, You know, be dash me my rights." These rights ought to prevent people from being discriminated against. You have them, like I said, in chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution. I had done something on all of those rights as contained in chapter 4, but I will just take a few because of time. And I will deal with one which I consider the most important, which is the right to life, which is in section 33 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is the most important right of every Nigerian, and in fact, every human being. The right that everyone has to exist, and no one can intentionally deprive a person this right, either an individual or the government, unless in the execution of the sentence of the court in respect of the criminal offense. In a nutshell, what this right says is that no one can take your life unless you have carried out a capital crime, and you have been tried by a court of competent jurisdiction and found guilty. However, some of these rights are not in themselves absolute. There are exceptions which are also encapsulated in the phrasing of the law. However, with every right, as you will see below, there are exceptions in regards to the right to life. Some of the exceptions are: 1, if a person dies as a result of the use of reasonable force for the defense of any person from unlawful violence or for the defense of property. 2, if a person, as a result of the use of reasonable force in order to effect a lawful arrest or to prevent the escape of a person lawfully detained, or if a person dies as a result of the use of reasonable force for the purpose of suppressing the right, insurrection, or mutilation. These are some of the exceptions in that right to life. Then I'd like to take out of dignity because, as comrades, usually, just recently, we know one of our comrades who was trying to carry out the civic responsibility somewhere in the Edo Central and suffered some indignity to his persons. So I would like to take that as well, just for refresher. I know most of us here will have seen this, we read it every day and we know about it. Then that is the right to dignity. The right basically means that every Nigerian has a right not to be subjected to torture or inhuman or degrading treatment. And no Nigerian should be held in circumstances which amount to slavery or servitude. It also provides that no one should be required to perform forced or compulsory labor. As I said earlier, these are rights. That also has its own exceptions. So with for instance, some of the exceptions are any labor required. Forced labor, I'm talking about forced labor, includes any labor required in consequence of the sentence or order of a court. 2, any labor required of members of the armed forces, police force, compulsory national service. In the case of persons who have conscientious objections to service in the armed forces of the Federation, any labor required instead of such service. For any labor required which reasonably is necessary in the event of any emergency or calamity, threatening the life or well-being of the community. And the last but not the least, any labor or service that forms part of normal communal or other civic obligations of the well-being of the community. Right to liberty. Because of most of the engagements that the government do with respect to calls that are made of coverage for those who are arrested, mostly by the law, the police and other law enforcement agencies. I'd like to also take this and possibly wind up with just one more, which is right to liberty, right to personal liberty. The right guarantees that individuals have a right to their liberty. This means that no individual must be deprived of his or her right to liberty or freedom unless it's in accordance with the law. Where a person is detained in lawful custody, he or she has the following rights. A, right to remain silent and not to answer any question unless and until he or she speaks to his or her lawyer. Right to be informed in writing within 24 hours of the facts and grounds for his arrest or detention. To be brought before a court within reasonable time, and if not tried within 2 months for individuals in custody not entitled to bail, and 3 months for individuals released on bail, they shall be released unconditionally or upon such conditions as are reasonably necessary to ensure that he appears for the trial at a later date without prejudice to any further proceedings that may be brought against that individual. And D, not to be kept in awaiting trial in detention for a period longer than the maximum period of imprisonment for the offence he or she is accused of. There are exceptions, however, to this particular provision of rights, which are 1, execution of the court order of sentence. 2, lawful arrest for commission of an offence or to prevent the commission of an offence. 3, restrictions placed on an individual who is under 18 years old for the purpose of his or her education or welfare. 4, restriction placed on people suffering from infectious diseases, persons of unsound mind, and drug alcohol addiction, which are imposed for their care and treatment and for their protection of the community. And lastly, the 5th one, immigration through border protection and lawful expulsion or extradition. There are other rights, like I said, right to fair hearing, right to privacy, right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, right to freedom of expression, right to freedom of assembly and association, right to freedom of movement. All these rights are entrenched in our law. Right to freedom from discrimination, right to own property, or they are not in themselves absolute. Now, to answer this question as to how fundamental if only citizens who refuse to be cowed and intimidated by government or their oppressors or those violating their rights at all levels, and even, like I said, individuals or corporate bodies. I don't think poverty, or at the level we are today, ignorance, should be an impediment or a challenge for citizens to hold on to that constitutional right that has been given to them, not to enforce it. So the poor and the oppressed, the ordinary citizen must of all times feel like they cannot, the poor and the oppressed, the ordinary citizens most of the times feel they cannot enforce their rights when they need their rights, because usually they do not have the resources or information to pursue the case of seeking redress. But that should not be. Here I would like to say that let us also understand that when rights are violated, with the knowledge of the fact that your right has been violated, it is not only lawyers that have the right to file or help to enforce those rights in the court of law. Individuals whose rights have been violated can, on their own, file processes. It does not mean that all processes filed in court must carry legal arguments that lawyers have the knowledge or the proficiency of. Once you know the facts, the person who has suffered such rights knows what has happened. It is sufficient for that person to put that in the form of an affidavit. If you have, let us also, in the course of educating ourselves on our rights, also add on how citizens who think that, oh, I don't have the resources to pursue my rights, how they can do that by themselves. Just as we encourage citizens to get the constitution, we also encourage citizens to get the rules by which these constitutions, these rights can be enforced. I think they sell even lesser than the cost of the constitution. What it simply entails, there are forms in the constitution, in the rights rules for which you enforce this fundamental right. There are forms at the back. They take advantage of these forms. Let us teach these forms for those who cannot read and write. How these forms are, the heading, you have the cost that you are going to say that where these rights have been violated, the jurisdiction where these rights is violated, you can file at the High Court or at the Federal High Court, whichever you choose. The law provides that you can file in either of the courts. So you look at the heading in the High Court of Edo State or in the Federal High Court of Edo State within the Judicial Division, Judicial Division, holding administrative in the case of the High Court, or holding the Benin Judicial Division in the case of the Federal High Court. The form is there. You just between, that is the parties. If it's Mr. Osaze Edighi versus the Nigerian police, you put it there. Then go to the body. Take notice that this court will be held. This court will be held at the following or so soon thereafter. Pray this honorable court for an order or for a declaration that my right has been violated. And what do you seek? That I want this court to order the people or the persons or the institutions that have violated my right to pay me so and so damages in line with the provisions of the Constitution. When you end your application, you know the story. Put it in an affidavit form. Go to where you are supposed to put your arguments. You don't need to be a lawyer to say, according to section this, when my right is violated, this is what I am expected to get in return. In a simple line, that serves for me as an argument. And we find it is for the court to determine on your affidavit evidence whether the rights have been violated. I don't think the legal argument is so much or counts much in the determination of a right. It is the facts how it happened. If the facts are well written and detailed to the court will apply the law as it goes. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much for watching this. Thank you very much.
When I don't get new discovery, Nabi, so that when we go to the stress out, when we go to the stress, all this our lawyer. Sometimes maybe we by ourselves we wait to file proceedings, new info. I know say by next week now you will see say judges will begin complaining again. But the truth is, information is what, and we will continue to pepper them with what. We will continue to pepper them with what? As it go dey sweet us. Isoleto. Quickly, let's give Osa. And our rec representative, our rec commissioner, wey don also talk to us since, he still dey here with us, he never go. Give am very hot 2 Osa. Like I thought, we don't come to the climax. We get questions. Now, very few questions we will take. Very few questions.
I put it before you. And a contract to all lawyers that lawyers are responsible for why Nigerians fell prey to Nigerian police force.
Sorry, quickly, before you finish us now.
For we, the commoner, to work with. So I want you to tell us, how do we petition you people? All those that are not cooperative to Nigerians. Then 2, another evil in the judiciary. The judiciary, how do we complain or petition them for their misconduct? Thank you.
Well, my question is this. In our constitution, our rights are well spelled out for us to live together as human beings and enjoy ourselves. But one thing I have come to discover, how do we checkmate this? The executive rascality of those in power. I'm not going to say that those in power, they are the ones that are abusing the law. They can beat you and match you and throw inside the boot and they say you can do nothing. And the law has no
Question. Radical.
What do we do to this effect? How will this law be effective?
Thank you.
Those who are supposed to be the custodians of the law are the ones destroying the law.
Thank you.
Litigation is highly expensive in this country due to corruption. We are all suspects. Suspect in saying that you hardly can find anyone that is not corrupt. My question is, how do we reduce the cost of litigation? Thank
you. The original from a civil society organization, Uselufa Center. My question is this: if you have a matter in court and somebody you take to court, whether the government or anybody like the police or anything, take them to court and they refuse to come, and maybe the court will not send bench warrants to them and they will now go and resist it, and on the other court day the judge will tell you he has overruled. Started putting under something when those people refuse to come and nothing to be done. What can we do to such courts? Number one. Number two, what if the matter is a session like say CIA or Zone 5 and the matter has spent 3 to 4 months there and you have been running for the case to go to court and they start telling you that the IG or the CP have no reading and all those things. Before you know, you'll be oppressed and charge that one to court, think that one is on the other side. But if they are oppressed and you are fighting in this matter, they will tell you IG or CP have no sign. What should you do about such case? Timmy, what of a matter? Somebody run to you for an abuse, either murder case or human trafficking and all, and you now put yourself. At the time this thing now overpower to run and ask the other one, give money to police. Police will start threatening the person that you bring, and you say that the matter don't want to go to court again, and they want to refuse, they want to go back away from it. And meanwhile, they have already put your life at risk. We should know that it's threat to human life and everything. Ask you, what will you do? And will you pick it up for the matter to continue?
Why, for the reasons citizens cooperate with the police, how do citizens, how do citizens okay. Now, as if I was, this question I was anticipating it. When rights of citizens are violated, and the citizens do not have the means, firstly, I would like to let you know that there are lawyers who have committed themselves to this cause, who are making sacrifices daily to help in the propagation of the rights of citizens, irrespective of pecuniary gains. There are others who are doing. But of course, we all understand that these incidences are one too many, and these few lawyers can be overwhelmed with these many incidences. And that's the reason why I just said a while ago while I was discussing that citizens should now be able to take up some of this enforcement themselves in the course of competent jurisdiction. It is going to go a long way in addressing the issues that this question seems to pose. But to say lawyers are responsible while citizens cooperate, I do not think so. I have been in practice for a while. I also know the pressure from the citizens themselves. Now, for instance, the common example is when a citizen is arrested. When a citizen is arrested, like I said about rights to liberty, the police has a certain number of days or hours that this citizen can be kept before being taken to a court. More often than not, the citizens do not even want to spend 1 hour, not even 10 minutes in the police station. They don't want to. And so they are the ones who are even pushing the lawyer to do what he ought not to do. For some of us, we have often resisted. I've been in a situation where a citizen called for my assistance. I went there at one of the police formations, at one formation that day. The citizen, while I was canvassing for his rights, he had been detained over the night, and I was telling the police two things, my request: grant this man bail or charge him to court. While I was canvassing that, with all the knowledge that I have, the strength and the vehemence that I have, the police didn't like it, because obviously they had something else in mind. And so the statement they made immediately was, they told the wife, "Which kind of thing you go bring? That's why he wants to your case. So he wants us to spell on our case." There and there, the woman just said, "I don't need you again as my lawyer." In the presence of the police, I was very embarrassed. Because you don't tell the lawyer, "I don't need you here, I don't want case, I don't want lawyer, I don't want lawyer." So this is some of the things they use to cow citizens, to intimidate them. And so at that point, the person who had called for my service is telling me he doesn't want me anymore. I cannot impose myself. Because what they expected, because In the course of my discussion with the police, somebody was just pressing me by the side. Like, no, some better. No, don't plead, beg them, plead with them. And I told the lady, I said, madam, if you wanted beg, plead, you should have done that. Don't still have called me into it. Because my responsibility is not to come and beg you. You should have begged. So, while we were doing this, in fairness to the person who was in custody, but unfortunately, he's not the one that briefed me, it's the wife. He understood what I was doing and also knows that the police will play the pastor on the wife. I was telling the wife, no, I want to. I said, no. At that point, they told the IPO to take the man to custody back to the cell. And so the woman who briefed me, there was no way I could impose myself. And at the end of the day, they started with so much money and the police allowed me to go. And what is most funny about this is that I got a call later in the day by a serving legislator at that time. Pastor Bakia, now you want to spoil my cousin case. I will go police with a speak grammar and speak law. They speak law for police. I was shocked and I said, even you a legislator that makes the law, you are telling me that your law that you make is not to be enforced. I said, Oga, I'm very, very much disappointed. He said, no, don't say all that. At the end of the day, that's how that discussion went. But for me, it's so embarrassing. That's why I seldom go. You know, of all seated, someone called me on police number that I seldom want to go, except it is a comrade itself. That's because they know. They cannot tell me to start negotiating because it's very demeaning for a lawyer to be negotiating how much to pay for bail. I don't do that. Even I have never done it in my practice. But for lawyers who probably for the challenge, the pressure they are getting from their clients, he doesn't want to stay in custody, so he does the bidding of his clients. Because at the end of the day, he said, however you accomplish it, as far as he got accomplished, that's what the client wants. So it is rather not the lawyer, rather it is most of the time the clients. Because you have 24 hours within which to investigate and bring somebody to court. So a lawyer cannot go to the police station the day you are arrested. It's very difficult to arrested to say, you must give me now. You can't make that application to them, but if they do not yield to it, you can fight them. What is next for you is to go to a court of complaint to resource and seek the enforcement of his rights. And lawyers are always doing so. But we want these things done with the speed of light, and it doesn't happen like that. Now, if a member or a judicial officer has in any way, in anyone's opinion, violated the law or pre-setting rules, how do we petition? There are two ways that I know. One of which, or three ways. One is moral, which is that the first one, which is moral, is approach the judicial officer and speak to the judicial officer what he has done and what you require of him to do in consequence of what they have done. Usually, it's either to apologize and desist from doing such. The other two are the official way of going about it. You could write to the head of the jurisdiction, which is in this case, for instance, the chief judge of the state, who is the chairman of the Judicial Service Commission, who could also put some pressure or waiting, speak with the judicial officer concerned. However, he does not have the rights or power to discipline such judicial officer. The only institution that has powers to discipline judicial officer is the NJC, National Judicial Council. NJC has the powers to discipline judicial officers. The NJC, National Judicial Council. And the power is not just absolute in there. any decision they reach, all these things are constitutional. It has also to be approved by the president or the governor and the case may be. So if you want to write a petition against the judicial officer, as much as you are sure of the facts, because you will be required by the agency to put those facts under oath, so that the issue of you lying will not be there. So if these facts that you know, put them under oath, you will forward the petition to the National Judicial Service, the agency, National Judicial Council. Then, executive rascality. Now, if you understand, there are three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. In my own view, from my own study of the Constitution, the executive is not the most powerful arm of government. It is the legislature, because power comes from the people. Power resides in the people. It's just unfortunate how we have skewed the system to now become the people. The country is very clear. It is the executive, it is the legislature that is expected to deal with these rascalities of the executive, because they have this overriding, what they call it, power to investigate, in terms of where budgets are bad, they call it oversight functions. So where, for instance, we are talking about local government autonomy, and there are proponents that say when the local government has autonomy, they will function better, and I also believe so. However, is that feasible? The way the Constitution and the way we practice the constitutional democracy, I don't see it as a reality, because if you look at that section 7 of the Constitution that talks about the democratic nature and character of the local government, it also, if you look at one of the subsections, I don't have it here, they also give power to the state legislature to make laws for its administration and control. So that is where they now derive their power to control their resources. And tell me, which legislature in Nigeria today that will not kowtow to the whims and caprices of the executive? So they have, the National Assembly has done it so. They've amended the Constitution. The fairness to the President of President Buhari, he has done what the executive order to control the finances, to make sure the finances get to the local government. But unfortunately, it was challenged and set aside because it doesn't have that executive share to do that. It is when you amend the Constitution that has been done, but it has to pass through the various houses of assembly of the country. And you need to thought, as we speak, less than 25 or 23 states on the last count have been able to pass it. And those that even passed those amendments, the local government autonomy was voted as no. What the various amendments sought to be done were not passed. And so you will never, even when sometimes we see persons who will advocate these very good policies and ideas, but when they get to power, they see what they can use the local government, as in this case, as an example to achieve. They use it to control the party. They also use it to get funds to fund a lot of party activities and all. So they are always interested in, so there's no way. As it stands today, I don't see any governor who will allow his legislation to pass it. I don't see it. So we are aware, that's why the advocacy has always been, let the constitution be organic from the people. But as it stands, like we talk about the remuneration of our national legislature is humongous. But these are guided by law. It is not just, it's not only by executive part. The Revenue Mobilization Commission and all that determine it, and there are parameters set by law for the determination of what they earn. So until you have made those statutes, and tell me which legislator will make a law against itself. It's not plain or ever wrong. Those who are screaming it today, by the time they become legislators, they don't make laws against themselves. So from where we are, that's the challenge. So when you talk about executive rascality, it is for us to know that we, the people, have the power through our legislature to call the executive to order. The judiciary or the lawyer will not take the court of time matters. as within the parameters of the law. But the strong hand that can really curtail the executive is the legislature. Now, some said litigation is expensive. Yes, litigation is expensive because of the society we find ourselves. The economy itself is fighting hard for everybody. So lawyers will have to also lawyers live within the same society. So you also, it is the job you do as a passion, as a tool for social engineering. It's also, you don't do any other thing. You still earn a living from there. And you realize that if you take Edo State as a study, very few really can afford legal services. So you see lawyers doing so much of matters, giving so much legal services for lesser value to lots of people. So the very few who can also afford, you also try to price them to save, to make up for the ones that are not paying so much rent. But in any case, I also understand the question really. It's not to say that it's not cheap. And it's not cheap because the Bible price in the market is not cheap.
Very true. Very true.
To help out, I have given a solution earlier.
Yes.
Some will have to take this. And if you go and meet any lawyer, please, this is what I have cash. I don't have money to pay you. Please, if you come to me, is this right within my knowledge, Sabian? I look at it, I say, okay, it's okay. Or if it's okay, these are a few amendments you can do and go and adopt it. Go and find it. On the day of adoption, you go and adopt it. We'll continue to try like that. And they say the parts of the justice like a shining light. When witnesses refuse to attend court after a bench warrant has been ordered, it is not for the judiciary to enforce. It is the executive to enforce orders. It is not the judiciary. And that is why, for instance, an order was made that convicting the IGs, can the judiciary on its own go and take the IG and send to prison? No. It is the same police officer, the executive organ that will enforce it. And that is why we go back to the constitution and say, let it come from the people. If it comes from the people, you are there to say, let the judiciary have its own sheriff that can enforce its orders. But as it stands today, the judiciary looks onto the executive to enforce its orders. And, the problem is... Yeah, okay. He says when somebody is detained and they want to go to court, they are not pushing for them to go to court. That's unlawful detention. And your right to liberty has been infringed. Go to court, enforce it. But it's not as easy as I'm saying because it takes time. But what you can do immediately, I'm sorry, maybe I will put it in your platform. It is an offense under a criminal code for you to detain, outside of the civil issue, outside of the issue of fundamental rights. It is an offense for a police officer to keep you in custody without justification. It's an offense, it's there, it's punishable. It's just that many of us have not seen it and we are not doing it. So why did I draw that to our attention is that when some of these things happen, it is also us to write to the authorities, the boss of the police officer that is committing this offense or that is infringing on this right. If somebody is being detained, and some of us here, we have suffered it, and there's one that I think communication can attest to that. They detained this man normally because he sold the vehicle and they said the profit he made was too high. He should be punished part of the profit. That is the reality. So I went to meet the commissioner. He heard this guy, he has not heard me for 14 days. He even went to court to get order to further remand him until he returns the profit. It's as I'm saying, I'm not garnishing it. That's the way it happens. I was myself, I couldn't understand how. I pleaded with the man, he refused. He said the only condition for release was that we must pay, that we should see how much we are going to give from that profit and how we are going to pay it. I walked down to the commissioner of police. I said, okay, this thing too big for my head. I can't understand the application of this. He too was shocked. And he called his own syndicate, verified his facts. He verified the facts and he said the man should be released immediately. immediately. So let's work with the authorities and say, because some of them don't even know. However, even though they benefit from it, but when you throw it up to them, they are scared, they don't want to say they are part of it. So they will do the needful. So the last question, how do we ensure that matters are properly investigated and charged? The same process and procedure. If the policeman is not investigating an offense that has been reported, do a petition to the organ in his office or to a higher authority of the police. I don't want to hear that they say they want to arrest one big man, they are able to arrest. I'll put it right to the IG. Right to the IG and say this is what is happening. Make a complaint. From there, if the IG is unable to do anything, you have gathered enough evidence, you have done what you need to do, for which the judicial arm can now step in and interpret whether or not this person should be arrested. I think that's the thing I can say for now.
I know some of the questions that were asked was just asked for further clarification for the benefit of those who are not aware and who are also not practice it. The attacker himself, he won't sack one TPO very soon. He's already in process. He don't know one sacker from community, and there the problem is. And for the people we stand for every now and then, the one where you talk, just that client when you talk about, I know about the story and I know the person involved. It can be very funny when you don't take person on bail, finish for free. The same person will pass your back. Go still give police money. They don't tell them say release the person, they go. You don't tell who they negotiate before, say come up for them. He go still carry money. Go still give. It's discouraging, it's embarrassing, but we cannot stop to advocate for them. Now, waiting we say we want to, now voluntary thing, even though they feed us, but we don't decide to do them and we will do them to the letter. Then, to also clarify, I'm very sure many of us also understand and know that our lawyers are one of those lawyers all over the world who takes matter, most especially the ones that concerns us on pro bono. You know, I mean, give our lawyers still closer. We don't get money. Now the way we take, the one way we go fit do, we go do. And most times we know they actually fit, we know they pay them. Sometimes they go use their own money to file the processes, or to make sure say waiting the justice is what served. So I believe say today we don't hear things, we don't get more hope. Not the ones where you hear from leaders of this movement. You don't hear from our lawyer now, and you don't hear from authorities. So make you continue to go do wetin you know how to do best. Practicing na be the result for efficiency. Because if you no fit do am, if you don't try to do am, you no fit say you no know say you go fit do am. Isoleto, Africa. Quickly, without wasting much of our time, today we get plenty people wey we wan acknowledge and appreciate. We don't do some certain things for the society. I don't say we dey do too. One day, they will still appreciate us. Better times, last week Saturday, they appreciate us too. They give us an award, say for the things we dey do for the society. And that was drawn from our boss, Masses Bus Services, where the price dey very, very cheaper than the commercial bus wey dey ply the route of Sokomba, go reach Uhiri. If you wan go there for normal commercial bus, I enter one of their bus one day, the day wey the buses no work, so one of their person die, so they shut down the park to honour the driver. I can't go that route that day. The way the bus drivers dey happy, they even go where our bus dey load, they go turn am to their back. As as dem go stop dem like this, dem tell passenger say 300, passenger no enter. You go tell am say na there you go dey, massive bus no want today. Na there you go dey. And it was funny, but that is to tell you the impact wey the masses bus dey for the people wey dey for that house. This one na just one of the many things wey we like to do. As I speak to you today, to register for antenatal for Central Hospital, not Edo Central Hospital, Central Hospital na 8,000 naira. Compared to wetin the 500, 1,000 before. Even government themselves now are even making life more tedious for the citizen. We get the dream say one day we go build our own hospital, employ good doctors, surgeons, wey go give services health-wise affordably to the people. School dey there, so people no dey fit pay school fees. That one dey for plan, but na step by wetin since we don achieve masses bus, by the grace of God we go spread to other routes very soon, and from there we go dey move am step by step. All we want na wetin a good society, and by the grace of God we go achieve that dream. So today we wan appreciate those wey dey also do their own in their own way to affect the society, the legal aspects, the terms of say program to talk to the conscience of government and what have you. Plenty people dey wey we wan appreciate o, but you know say na where person power reach na there na e dey do reach. So we just select some amongst the many to honour them and appreciate them today. The next time we will also select others and do the same for them gradually. The reason why we dey do these things na to encourage them to do more, because when person dey pound and dey see the yam wey e dey pound for plate, e go get energy to dey pound more. So by the grace of God, we will acknowledge these people today and give them that honor wey dem deserve. So quickly, I like to
quickly text more. Ogunpamoyi, member of Manarata representing EDOCSO, to come to the ITV. Please, wherever you answer, please just come to the ITV. Manarata from ITV. And as soon as I the clap of people, this is for the people who believe that we pay on behalf of the people. So with this your glass, you walk around town. Yes. Appreciate, even if it's not part of their own piece for today. It's not that person than our immediate past. Chairman of the Festival of the Show, Samuel is here. Please appreciate him. Let's appreciate the chairman of guy of Nigeria, the state chapter, Mr. Osaki. Please. May we move to the other side. There are a lot of persons slated out to be awarded because of how they distinguish themselves in various areas and various places of life, helping the people, their impact and their effort to make life better for humans and for society. In no alphabetical order, I will be calling the awardees one by one, and I will call those that will also present the award to them. The person standing in the back of
you can attest to the fact that once you get issues with poor staffs and the issue dey genuine, no be the one wey contravene o, because we no dey support anybody wey contravene the law. If you contravene the law, you must pay the fine, you must face the punishment. once the matter dey genuine, say maybe na either overzealousness by a pool of staff or the person wan just do obudu yeye to collect, immediately you bring such matter to the know of Mutari, who is the head of pool, he will give it quick response and he will make sure say justice is what serve. If you also take your mind back to how Ring Road be before, we know say government dem and some of their agencies they are not dey their body, but the one wey still try small we go still talk am and acknowledge am. The way Ring Road be today na because of the effort wey some of these poor staffs through the head, because e dey very disciplined, and once you are found wanting as a staff of poor, you no dey take am lightly with the person. With their help and effort, you see say at least sanity dey around the Ring Road area. You go see our bus drivers wey their head, some of their head no correct, wey dey drive like say they wan die now. Once they see anybody wey dey wear this uniform, if they wan match or pray for them before, they move, because they don see them, they go go back for the right place. And we see am say that kind work wey people dey do, e better to encourage them so that dem go do more, and to also make them understand say we appreciate the work wey dem dey do for the society. Na im make us wan present this award to them today in award of recognition and appreciation presented to Mr. Mukhtar Yusuf Osaige. An award of recognition and appreciation to a distinguished personality that has imparted the growth of the society. I present this award to you. I present this award to you on behalf of the leaders and executive and members of the civil society organizations in recognition for the effort that the person of Mr. Mutari and the poor staff have put into the sanitizing of Edo State. It is fundamental. Congratulations, and we hope that this will spur you people to do more and better in your services. Congratulations. We get waiting to tell us.
Yes, my name is Sylvester Major. I'm the state head of Operation Pool. I'm standing in a gap for my boss, the person of Commandant Osaige Mukhtar. So let me first of all thank the organization, civil society, for finding and recognizing our work being done in the state. Once again, I want to thank you for this support. There's a saying that says that the good much is given, much is expected. So we'll go back to our drawing board now and try to step up our activities and try and be more transparent enough for both the society and the government, so that we can contribute our quota to the betterment of this state.
They talk about it, may you know say our touch, maybe our body too. Please appreciate the work they are doing so well. They are doing so well. The next person to receive this award, don't forget, is not in alphabetical order. As it comes at all, has a curriculum that has a lot to talk. It get many things to talk about, because when I read waiting the right here, I dey intimidated. Need to say I not be human rights. It's in the get weights. The person name na Dr. Sakio Sarine Obayuwana, date of birth 19 April 1955. Appreciate our I want you to thank
say I'm happy. I want to tell you say I'm Nigeria. But not too much I'm telling you about Obia North East. See Obia is married with children. I think the one where I felt I just can say it get weight. I'm not going to call the dates join. I will not read that like that because if I call the dates, even when they call the dates, maybe that time they never call me. He went to the Nigerian Law School, Lagos. From there, went to University of California, Los Angeles School of Law. Doctor of Jurisprudence. From there, he went to Alabama A&M University, Ostava, Alabama, USA. Accounting. He went to Immaculate Conception College, Benin City, West Africa School Certificate. Work experience is Osadio Baiwana and Co, Benin City, Head of Chambers, Principal Counsel. After the General Commissioner for Justice Edo State, one time. He was with Chief Gani Faremi Chambers, Lagos, as an associate counsel. The University of Benin City as a lecturer, Faculty of Law. He works with National Youth Service Corps, lecturer, Faculty of Law, University of Benin. Law firm of Davis and Perkins, Los Angeles, California, USA, as associate counsel. Membership. Professional. Is a member of California Bar Association, member of the Nigeria Bar Association, member of the National Bar Association, member of the National Association of Political I know why whenever he stands, they will say my senior brother. The Esquire in this house. The Esquire. This is our senior. It's the national. It was okay. To date, National President Committee for Defense of Human Rights. Chairman Human Rights Committee, Nigeria Bar Association, Benin Branch. One time. National Chairman, National Conscience Party. Okay, National Executive Member, Campaign for Democracy. Secretary, Gani Family Solidarity Association. Secretary, Academic Staff Union of University of Benin Branch. Award and recognition. If this one not joined, you cannot receive the Street Award. This one is the Street Award. You get one song that they say street credibility out of Nigeria state. Now this one is the Street Credibility Award. But award he has received as he has been contributing to life and society. Nigeria Bar Association Benin Branch Lifetime Achievers Award. County of Los Angeles University Award in recognition of achievements. National Association of Doctors in the University System, Distinguished Member of the Legal Profession Award. Law Student Association Ambrose Ali University Legal Personality of the Year Award. Catholic Men Association Certificate of Appreciation for Speaking Out on Corruption and Good Work Ethics. University of Benin Alumni Association Award of Excellence in recognition of contribution to the association and to humanity. Committee for Defense of Human Rights, CDHR Co-Founder Award. National Association of Educated Students, Distinguished Award in recognition of self-service to humanity. Self-service to humanity. Committee for Defense of Human Rights, Lagos Branch, Award of Excellence for constituting the intellectual advocacy powerhouse of CDHR. Student Union Government University of Benin Academic Session 2016-2017 Award of Excellence. Benin Youth Award of Excellence in recognition of advocacy for truth and justice and excellence projection of the human race. Benin Youth Congress Worldwide
Agbodò level for immeasurable contribution to the socio-economic and political development of the Benin in particular and Nigeria in general. Law Student Association of Nigeria Golden Award in recognition of contribution towards the sustenance of democracy, human rights and the rule of law in Nigeria. Justice, Development and Peace Commission, JDPC, Meritorious Award for exemplary contribution to excellence in human race presentation. National Award of Polytechnic Students, Award of Icon of Democracy in recognition of contribution towards the fight for sustainable democracy and better living standard for Nigerian workers and students. The Law Faculty at Rosalie University for excellence in recognition of contribution towards the growth and development of the practice of law. It was say I get back for saying it's coming allow me to read this award. Continue. Because now, may I just add this one girl so that we give her our own maker the street credibility award. The National Union of Benin Students, University of Benin Chapter Merit Award as Outstanding Indigenous Legal Practitioner of the Year. That was given to him 2002. YDPC Human Rights Classic Award in recognition of contribution to upholding citizens' rights in Edo State. Nigeria Labour Congress Edo State Chapter Pamaka Imodu Merit Award in recognition of distinguished quality as individual. If I continue, we will be and so on and so on. When we just add and so on. At this time, I want to make welcome someone to present this award.
Comrades, shall we put our hands together for the lion? When I say lion will don't need to shout. As he moves like this, only the trees will move. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as today the former coordinator general and civil society secretary to present this award to our amiable lawyer.
That's what I'm going to say. They had the award in Waka. No more, sir. Okay. I never back. I got the best unity to the top. You would have just started with the first one and say and so on and so forth. Because no matter the size of Canadian, when they for Baba table, the one way get on and the small way they top. Who is still with me? A round of applause for our ancestors. It was one of them. I'm an Hinduist, so I like to honor my ancestors. So we don't know who they are, we know who we are. When we see those way ahead of us, we honor them well. Unless you know what get to that point where they get to. God forbid. Yes, sir. Baba don't talk about that one. For those of you who didn't hear that one, or most of one. If you don't understand it, just go it. Instrumental. On behalf of Edo civil society organizations, which the vision is very big and large, we are really small but not rich. This award, the English word for it, is a word of recognition and appreciation. But we call them the Street Award. This is the award of the street. And so we know you are made up of the streets. Even though you read many books, go everywhere. All now, waiting to make the streets strong. For those who ask questions, say lawyers they do free service, they make case the worst. And because they don't know you, if they know you enough, they're going to say that question was supposed to concern you and the other lawyers who in the now only one of them knows they never beat. I wish they would beat them very soon. That was a press. Soft. I didn't beat us. They never really beat them. Who are getting never beat who are getting, but they are beating you. Yes. They are beating you. Yes, I said, once a poor beat you, yes. No, we're not forget that.
fighting, you know. Because the press have struggled, but he has not been beaten. We will find a situation where he will be beaten. And recently, our own very Basika and lawyer barrister, Leonard Sowande, in a very resource and control camp. And I think he has not been beaten. We also found out any way he will be beaten. There's one that also came here, I won't mention his name. I will allow the man and calling my road to introduce him. He has not been beaten. Like, he didn't make trouble any art. He wear white and white today. I hope that we'll find out many that they will beat him today and in white. Today, in white will be stained when he goes home. So that when it's award, as a candidate, he will have the value for the state award. So on behalf of the CSO, we present this award to you, sir. Congratulations.
Yes.
What do you mean? Who owns the land? What's the answer? We owns the land. And we land. And we own. Yes. Based on what I have heard so far, let me thank our rep for the humility we take talk to us, explain the question we they ask them, almost 20. You take time to answer them one by one. Then my brother, Wagiero, Osa Wagi, also spend the time. Now, two things with me I want to talk about. How people say, if you want to know what will happen for future, you go back, go look what did not first happen. Don't know where so there, there. So I be lawyer for California, and so I do this Alabama. But this is our land where we put legs, so maybe we own. Some people want to give us bad name. They say that they can't show us road. Me, I want to use waiting my brother talk. Think talk saying alive with the dog, you see, the topic where my brother talk about, he talk about citizens' rights. How fundamental. But our own people for Edo here, we don't pass that stage 1,000 years ago. We are not talking about citizens' rights. Edo say, Oriori, we don't discriminate against non-citizens. All the Edo nation insists upon is good conduct. If you behave well, the Edo nation will embrace you. That's why they want to make us best that the way some people will call themselves Fulani. Don't begin harass our people anyhow. We have an open door policy. We will welcome you, but we insist it must be of good conduct. So the question of human rights, the most important word is human, not citizen. As long as you are a human being, even if you come from Cameroon, you dare our midst, you are entitled to your right to life. You are entitled to your right to fair hearing. You are entitled to freedom of movement. All the good things of life, because you are a human being. The French, who are looked at as amongst the most progressive in Europe, they had what they call in 17th century Declaration of the Rights of Man. They limited it to men. It took a lot of struggles before women won their rights, up to and including the right to vote. So the only distinction people still have is whether non-citizens can vote. If over 1,000 years ago, the Edo nation recognized the right of full participation of even those that may call the strangers in our midst, I tell you one thing, the Nigerian nation is in the process of reinventing itself.
we are going to do better than the Americans and the Europeans. And one of the ways we are going to do this is by borrowing from our past. All we ask of the so-called foreigners in our midst is to be of good conduct. The Americans will now come and learn that from us. Let's leave that for another day. The second point, thank you very much. The role of the activists in freeing Nigeria from poverty and oppression. Every single one of you, you are capable of mobilizing thousands. If you comport yourself, if you conduct yourself properly, if you go after knowledge, and you match your knowledge with action, this one has street award. I make me to talk like this. Yes. You must learn to become an organizer in the neighborhood where you live. Yes. That is the only way your charity can begin from home. Nobody must be mistaken that you are the best among the patriots, committed to freeing this land from poverty and oppression in all fronts. Your neighbor must not be mistaken about that. It flows from the way you comport and conduct yourself. You must strive to acquire knowledge. You must share this knowledge with those within your neighborhood, where you work, where you go to school. You must be exemplary. That is the only way you can achieve mass mobilization. Not be say where we say, all right, let's hit the streets. Now 15 or 20 of us. The policemen, they will get the encouragement, say, how many will there be? When you mobilize properly and you bring 500,000 people onto the streets, the policemen will join you. So all those things that my brother struggled to clarify, when you attain mass mobilization, put millions on the streets, you don't need to go to court. Then they will ask, when did they say they want? You say, we don't want this kind of oppression. We don't want this kind of rascality. Say, don't worry, we're not going to rascal again. We'll do anything the way you want. If all the drivers, all the civil servants, all the students, all the traders, all the mechanics, all of us come out on the street at the same time, saying the same thing. Revolution never happened. What did I talk? The role of the activists in freeing Nigeria from oppression and poverty. That is our goal. May the ancestors and God mighty strengthen us. Thank you very
Let's be seated. And are standing for those that doesn't have, those that have been oppressed. When they look one day, like with the posterity, will speak out. At this point in time, there's one man that I love so much. I talked about him before. Though he's dressed like a cowboy, he stood there lecturing us. The ability award. They say they never beat him. Now people do waiting, they will beat him. Please help me appreciate him as his second. And this is
Isoleto, E-Africa. Sometimes when we go, they say, you don't want to free him, or you don't want to free her. Okay, let's go to court. Now, people when we know say they talk like this, we call their number like this, then go show for that courtroom to come tell you, my lord, I don't look at all that I've been doing. According to section so and so, the rights of this and that have been breached upon. So my Lord, I beg to humbly submit. Sometimes I know not the reason. You should say I know go school go read law. But when I reason the things what we dey do sometimes, it go come be like say that one don't do, because if you reach to talk back join this one, you feel. Ladies and gentlemen, standing before you is a legal luminary, a legal gladiator. If you like, call him a legal bulldozer. The man wey go carry case, he go look the matter first. If na matter wey you for here, he go tell you say, go you say diabo, go you say diabo. Because you know why? He no wan collect money from you when you know say na bad case na you get. Lawyers dey do am. But him know they do am, and most of our lawyers too. When I dey say our lawyers, we select them carefully. We select them carefully. He's one of them wey no dey do like that, and he go advise you say, okay, see wetin you give me the facts. Na that one he go tell you. The only thing wey you need na wetin facts of the matter. And once you give am facts of the matter, leave the rest for am. He go grind anything wey be like injustice wey wan stand for that role. Ladies and gentlemen, he's one of our legal representative for a civil society organization. He has been doing it and he's still doing it. He get matters wey he don dey do for us. Some still dey court, we don't get victory for some, and he still dey do. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Barrister Leonard Osa-Uwagie. We do for us, and not just for us, for the man wey government and police pull life for his head say the mortuary na a ritualist dem. He shook am for their eye. They don't know where to run go. So the TPP define Attorney General dey office, he go lie, he go dey run up and down. Because they don't know, he don't tell them, say, this matter wey you dey do so, it can make you or. Ladies and gentlemen, many like that day, wey we no go fit talk. But just know, say, if you no need person, wey go actually stand tell you true in terms of legal matter, na him be this, one of them, na him be this. And to present this award wey we take recognize of the wonderful things wey we dey do to the society today, na our oga patapata for INEC for Edo State. He is no other person than Mr. Obu Efanga to present this award to our lawyer wey dey do selfless services for our people for Edo State and Nigeria at large.
Closer.
Edo Civil Society Organization Award of Recognition and Appreciation presented to Barrister Leonard Osa-Uwagie, an award of recognition and appreciation of a distinguished personality that has impacted the growth of the society. This day, 10th of December 2022. Congratulations.
Okay. I want to say that
when I get the letter for award, come on, ask because of that. What thing me I do for award? Rather, me I reason say now me go find how to give awards because of the because this passion has been there, but now they actualize them for us. And the little thing, the little knowledge we get, the law, we get opportunity. Take the put them into reality through the work so they have to say the day when they drop the letter was not around, but as I they come in and they bring the letter and they see Coordinator General they walk into my office. I told them, I said, what did I do? And they say, no, you know say you know about the letter, but you know say don't drop the letter, don't bring letter, he come for something else. And I said, well, it's humbling. I didn't know what to say, but let me just use the words that I can use, which is that thank you very much. It's most humbly, and I really wasn't expecting it. All that I do and still doing is not for an award, it's for a better society. I think it's very, very they never beat me. But I tell you, say, in 2005, me I collect school.
That's 17 years ago.
2005, for this work what they do. Say I dey represent person. The big man call me say, why should I be representing an Igbo man against the Igbo man? I shouldn't do that, I should drop the matter. I tell the man, say, na human being, and wetin dey see. Now what thing he get right for this matter? The way you dey look at for me, dey oppressive. Who say I talk that one? He said no. I went back to my office. While I was in the office in 2005, some young men come into my office with guns, carrying me comot, go the man house. When I got there, the client told me they represent. I say I'm only boxer. They beat up for my president. And I tell the man first one, I said, how are you? This man, the relationship that I get, now professional relationship. Whether you feel they do to you, not the matter I made. I know the things wey present to me on the basis of the facts. I advise am according to the law and na that process. Okay, people na no do pass as una don do because me do get money, me get knowledge, except the yes. So eventually, they force that same man to sign out his message, then appear people to the man because the man say, "Intel make it do work, not do the work. We need to make it for people message." The moment I left there, I went to Nigerian police station to report. As long as I was getting to my office, his person walked to my office and said, "The police are calling that I reported the matter." Many things happen after that, and I don't want to know. But just to say that, you collect me, collect me. After that time, I don't know they don't kidnap me never again. So now we be the one of those ways where they use it. Thank you very much. And I give up to our family and mentor. We look people back with a hope. They give us so much inspiration and encouragement. When we see people like this still in the field, we will ask what we still they do for us. Why we must be in the field? If this man is there in the field as at this age, we will not get any education. And Oga, you are a great mentor to us. We have tremendous respect for you. I will continue to follow you. And
Please don't let we appreciate this man I love so much. Standing for your breast, standing for justice, standing for fairness. He's not that person that is that daily available. Because Isoleto. Their own, they're not the big them because they're the eye inside AC. And they're not the get litigation, they're not the drug people. They'll just use my talk out, they'll talk. Sometimes they go, they catch you, I go, they fix it, I put the enemy. And they have someone representing them today as a team. It's not that person that Mr. Desmond, your family, standing in the gap for man around town and the Posapoan. It's the next to step out to receive this street credibility award.
Isoleto, in Africa. That's a program where all of us they listen to. When you go call in the morning, na so hold up dey for state junction. Na so the road wey dey for Winede or the house or church wey dey for Winede. Na small na remain make e fall for inside the hole. When dem go talk about am like this, sometimes you go see government dem go rush come fix am. Sometimes you go see their officials dem go still come the same program come tell us some plenty lie when dem know say na lie. And if you dey lis ten very well, why dem dey talk the lie, people wey dey anchor the program go still dey tell dem, oga this one wey you talk so, this one wey you talk so, you sure say hey, you check am well, you sure say e correct for the same program, but because NPC and their wahala, you need to dey make you no be like say you dey support some kind things. Dem go try to dey careful, but inside that carefulness, you go see dem still dey tell the person the truth. Because you see this society wey we dey so, if you talk, you die. If you no talk, na that one even worse pass, because you go die pass die. Because when you die that time, nobody go even know say you die. You understand? Because so the people when you dey hear their voice, na one of them stand here so. And most of the things wey dem dey talk, wey dey actually impact on the some things wey you no know before, when you dey lis ten to man around town, you go get that information. And some complain, we use that platform as a means to make complaint. Some people dey wey some government officials don infringe on their rights, dem go come complain for them. They will use the medium take talk about am. Before you know, the person wey dey oppress that person go come dey run kitikiti, dey run katakata. Before you know, the person go get justice. So those civil society organizations don carefully follow the program and see the effect of the program on the society wey we dey. And we don decide say e good make we tell these people thank you for the work wey dem dey do, because na the same work wey we dey do. All of us no go fit do the work finish. So for dem to join us to dey do the kind work wey we dey do, we think and feel say e better make we appreciate them. And to give them this award of appreciation today, no other person than the man wey I love so much, na one of us. When it comes to raising fund, na number one. E no dey use am play. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, please, let's welcome one of us. It's no other person than leftist Saint Lawrence Keshi to present the award.
Who is so much of fun? One around town. There is nowhere you cannot hear one around town, all over the world. And my interest in there is from the, what do you call it, the director of that program, the faith. It took essence, I beg. There's no kind of word that you will come with, you know how to bring it down. And you make sure it's always careful, you want to balance issues. You never take side one day. Are we together? Only one day you wanted to take side, you don't let our people bomb last time. So today it's an opportunity for me, because I love what people are doing. It's a great opportunity to give you this award on behalf of the Civil Society Organization. I want to say, continue with the good work.
God will promote you in the areas of their endeavors. In Jesus' name. God bless you, my brother. What he says is an award of recognition and appreciation of distinguished personalities that has impacted the growth of the society. And it was done this day, 10th December 2023. We will not forget this date as I present this award to you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Desmond Ogunbayawo. My name is Mr. Desmond Ogunbayawo. PA to F.A. Osafoma, representing F.A. Osafoma, head of Manhattan ITV Radio. First and foremost, I will thank the Edo Civil Society for bringing us out as one of the people that have an award for the good work we are doing, even encouraging us to do more. And I promise the whole house, as far as I'm representing my boss, that what we are doing will even increase it by doing more for the assistance of the masses and the nation. Thank you very much for this.
President Agoha is a public interest lawyer with special interest in open governments.
Please, sir.
Only the top of credibility this man. Sir, I need the human rights yourself. He said President Agoha is a public interest lawyer with special interest in open government, privacy and internet governance, litigations, advocacy and research. He obtained his first and master's degree from Ambrose Ali University, Edinburgh. He started as a student activist where he rose from Speaker of Student Union Government, SUG, to acting president of the Student Union Government of Ambrose Ali University, and later ended his activism as the director of Sport and Socials of National Association of Students, Nigeria Students, NAS, in 2008. He was part of the technical committee that organized Nigeria investigation in Maiduguri in 2007. He was appointed legal consultant by successive leadership of National Association of Nigeria Students, NAS, from 2009 to February 2017. He was called to bar in 2019. He was called to bar 2009, and what we chief Ume Sui Edosoman son, Eki Carlo Chambers, from 2010 to 2016 as an associate. He thereafter established his law firm, Les Entrepreneur, and also co-founded a non-governmental organization, FOI Council, Irregular. He is a member of Chartered Institute of Arbitration since 2009. He is an ordained deacon of God and happily married with children. He won the Public Interest Lawyer Award by NYNC Abuja, August 2022. MBA leadership position attained. He was the first financial secretary of the Youth Lawyers Forum of Benin branch of the MBA 2012 to 2014. He also served as a co-opted executive member, Nigerian Bar Association, Benin branch 2016 to 2018. Secretary co-editor of the Benin Bar Journal 2017-2018. Secretary organizing committee of MBA Roundtable on charting a roadmap for a better Edo State 2017-2020. Member of the Benin Bar Directory Committee 2019 to 2020. Community leadership position. He was appointed member of SF Group of implementing the access to information SAT. If we continue with
and so on and so on. Make I summarize that because it is long. in summary, is a great achiever. The man wey dey say he wear this thing as he wear am, so you think say na very gentleman, troublemaker, a legal troublemaker. The man wey don dey make government now dey understand say you need to open up some things o. No need for secrecy because we get freedom of information act. The man wey he don drag virtually all government agents enter court say this thing wey una say una do so, how una take do am, make we see the documents. And you know government now, because they don do ogbugbu yeye, they no go wan talk, oh yeah, let's go to court. Una know that book wey we read, wey we call Freedom of Information Act, wey give you right to ask questions, and if dem no answer you go carry dem go court. And if court see am say dem purposely no wan answer you, e go tell dem say make dem pay you for not answering you. How much be that money that time? 500k. The man wey dey do more of that matter na him stand before us so, and he dey do other legal matters join, and he join one of those wey we also carefully select to do litigations for us, and many of the litigations wey dem don do for us, because normally we no dey carry matters wey no get head enter court. We have succeeded and got good judgment, and some still dey wey we still dey await the judgment. One of those wey go also tell you say na bad case. E get one matter wey I attend am recently. The man by himself sign document say the part of the house he sell am for mass, all these network people. He say because he no sabi read, say but dem tell am o say dem wan buy am, but later he come discover say dem no dey sell am, dem no dey buy am. I tell am say oga, this your matter, e get how e be o, because na you sign the document, but make I talk to our lawyer. He tell us say straight ahead na bad case, because na you use your hand take sign am. He say they explain am to, I ask am, they explain am to you, he say yes, they explain am to you. Na you still sign am, he say yes. So wetin you dey find again? So lawyers wey, some lawyers dey, he don know the matter. The man still run go meet another lawyer, and another lawyer tell am say no worry, this matter we go fit do am. Oh yeah, they bring money, they collect from am. Knowing fully well say he no get where he dey go with the matter. This lawyer is not one of them. He's not one of those lawyers that will see the truth and deceive you because he wants to make money from you as a client. Ladies and gentlemen, to present this award of recognition wey we don know say this man dey do for the society is no other person than SAN, S-A-N, wey the legal people dey call Senior Advocate of Nigeria. But that Nigeria, if they like, they call am Senior Advocate of the Masses. You know, do they like the N way? They like the N way. It's no other person than our Oga Dr. Obayuwana Osai to present this award to our lawyers today. For the good things, the selfless work we don dey do for us as a civil society organizations and other people. And to join, as e dey do free work for us, sometimes e go just stick up. If e hear say we need financial assistance, e go still say send us at home. E go just still put support. Ladies and gentlemen, please appreciate him.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the fear of presidents is the beginning of wisdom. For those who like to act in secret, and these days, most governmental affairs are done in secret. His greatest contribution is that they have to think, this is where we want to do so. When president here, he go ask us to open up. My learned colleague, distinguished counsel, on behalf of Edo Civil Society Organization, my pleasure to humbly give you this award of recognition and appreciation. Presented to you, Barrister President Ibokan. Africa. An award of recognition and appreciation of being a distinguished personality who has impacted positively on the growth of our society. I congratulate you.
Isoleto. My first comment is that Isoleto itself has to have a meaning word, but Isoleto is from South Africa. Yes. So how do we start the conversation with making Isoleto a meaning language? Anyango. Come on, we say Anyango. Thank you so much. I want to thank the EDOCSO Society for this honor. The work that we are doing very narrow, we work around major around open government and with general interest in general human rights. Because the INEC records here, we like to also highlight the job of align prisoners to that far back in 2013. Currently, we are in the Supreme Court, and coincidentally, we are the one who filed the action. We are the one who won. We are the one who went to the Supreme Court. The reason being that the Court of Appeal is saying that prisoners can actually vote in polling unit as assigned by INEC. We are saying no. The prison center itself is a sufficient constituency for ballot and voting materials to be taken to. Taking them to the nearest polling unit now violates my mother's right to vote because she can be attacked while they are trying to make the prison inmate escape. And that's logical enough, and that's why we went to the Supreme Court. Ordinarily, we should have rested at the Court of Appeal when the Court of Appeal says that prison, the INEC should liaise with prison and ask the inmates to go to the closer units. Another thing because you are here, one of the voice your meetings. It's urgent that inmates should be allowed to vote. That's one. Two, persons with disabilities, they are already allowed to vote already. But the person with disabilities, the voting system should be very convenient for them. I still don't know why I'm coming out to vote on Saturday, unless my friend, senior comrade, Abomobode will also come out to vote on Saturday. Because it's not a person of disability. You have to vote by Thursday. So that we can, I will not enjoy him while trying to cast my vote. So persons with disabilities will be allowed to vote on Thursday or Friday. While the major voters, other citizens can vote on Saturday. Those are very sensitive conversations that support dignity, freedom, and justice. Justice for all. So I thank you all for this award, and I assure you that we continue to do more. And lastly, I need to thank a very special person in the grooming to be a human rights advocate. I wasn't trained for that. I was trained as a commercial lawyer. 2 years of my practice, I started sending invoice to share the 10 million, which is in this account. So that's my training. But I needed the human rights, and I know I'm a human rights lawyer. So I met with a man who seated here, very white and white. He's called the People broke, and they don't even know how to remedy them. They only complain about the very wicked people who frustrated them. My first encounter with David, I needed a human rights president. He asked me to come to a Makari workshop. I don't know if you remember. He said, I forgot you. He opened his system. He opened his leg for everything in his car. He opened his system. You like this one? You like this one? Send it to me on email. And email I forgot, but I didn't forget. You were in the system where you meet your colleagues and you just give me this back. It looks like that one big something. For those little president he has given, has been able to shaping not less than 11 cases, public interest sacrifice cases at the Court of Appeal. That even the justice of the Court of Appeal, after the Libyan government were attached it and they applied to the Supreme Court. I was in the Supreme Court one day when the book they were doubting about my name. I was like, I just did the president. Whisper to the head, he was pointing to say, you know him. No, whisper to the head, whisper for like 3 minutes. Nobody was talking. They have fairly hard. And these are the cases that they have done before me. Are heavy cases. So I want to thank you, sir, for that opportunity. And because mentorship, there is a gap. There are few lawyers on ground to do human rights. There are very few lawyers on ground to do human rights. The reason is not far-fetched. It's not that those people are not ready to fill in the gap. The training level is low. One, you just find yourself in a firm where your guys don't know difference between human and citizen. Let alone the rights. But he's a lawyer. It's not, that doesn't in any way train him. That doesn't in any way make him a lesser lawyer. But that is not his area. But people like Dele will stand in the gap to say, even if you are not feel up, you can always run to him for one or two assistants. And I can boast to say that Dele Gurede impacts to human rights and civil society have helped to reduce our work. A lot of work that we want to do, that you guys are doing it, and you are making us last. Yes, they are very jealous about it. But I think I'm very proud of the Civil Society organization. I encourage you to continue. And this award is not just for us to keep on the wall. It's also an award that we have a specific commitment. We are going to ensure that this general election, there are some records that are going to stimulate to be open. And they just want to also inform us that we were here when we agreed that we are going to challenge the NDC 2014-2015. We challenged them and asked for teaching. We went to Federal High Court in Port Harcourt and said, Federal High Court, give us an order for NDC to be audited. It was a political issue. They said we can't order an executive arm to audit itself. We are judiciary, and that's shameful. And President Buhari came to 2015 and announced it to be audited. And as we are talking to you now, the record we requested from them in 2015 was delivered to us in May 2022. All the records. So I want to thank the rest of the city for giving us the opportunity to express our concern and to express our passion.
Please, 1 minute. 1 minute, sir. Barrister Press don't start the matter and the eulogizing of the troublemaker lawyer. I call him troublemaker lawyer because I'm troublemaker. You get house, where you go talk some kind of like this. You will know say you don't be vex. You don't vex. That's the way you talk. Don't be best to tell you say no talk am again. Ladies and gentlemen, the next awardee is no other person but Barrister Dele. Please just step out, sir. And Barrister Dele, we will show you to know am by force by way of law. Recently, you don't do two where they very low to the, when I say to the downtrodden, when you don't make government understand, say you don't figure wake up one morning, don't talk, say, you see this about line, maybe not no track am again. If anybody track am, you will get a problem by way of telling the government that the then governor, Adam Saliu Oshomole, have no rights according to the constitution to make a declaration when we dey for democracy say no more bike, no more keke, you don dey restrict them. By that you don dey infringe on the freedom of movement of people and their rights. And he take the matter up, go court up to the level of supreme, and the judgment was in the favour of the people. God wan tell them say as far as say e no go through legal process, legislative process, you no fit make that kind pronouncement. E no stop there. Edo State Waste Management Board, how many of us know wetin dey for first schedule for our constitution wey talk about environmental matter? E went further to the court to make government understand say you do not have business as Edo State government with refuse. And God, he tell them he open book for them. Not be so for laptop, we go open book for them. He open book for them for God. And God see and say, wetin he dey talk? Too much sense dey. And God agree. Tell them say, Edo State government and the Waste Management Board, if una no get business to do again, in the one of the job, say make una go carry POS. I mean, no be say talk about. Say make dem go do POS business. So that one I just why do you make me talk that too? Now because it affects those wey dey use bike dey hustle, dey find their daily living, wey government try push comot. This one na some of the many litigation matter wey they don do. E dey do many for us. Like I talked before and I go talk am again, he is also one of the very careful ones wey we don choose among the lawyers for this country and this state, and he have been doing cases for us pro bono. When I say pro bono, he no go collect money from us, and he go do the matter, and every time we dey always come out successful for the matter, because we no dey carry matter wey no get go court. So this work wey they do am for us as Edo civil society organizations, and they do am for other people out there wey we no even know. And we come see am say for person to get mind to do this kind thing, e good to appreciate am, e good to tell am say thank you, so that he go get more energy to do more of the things wey e dey do. Na make us say today, as we dey celebrate World Human Rights Day, we go need to acknowledge the things wey we do and appreciate am. Na make us wan give am this award today, and to present this award is no other person, our oga INEC man, our rec Edo State. Na you go help us still present this award to our oga. Please appreciate me.
I will tell the minister for yes. Correct, sir. I will tell you the meaning of open our language later. But I tell you, you get one particular when I express our tech chairman will talk, we don't talk. Then make I come outside. But I know the story of this Senator Ekwerimadu and the government of promoting the organ for UK. I will also with this side matter. And I will delay, but I will delay with the government too. At that point, the National Assembly, to show how wicked they are against the ordinary man, they don't already begin to make stupid laws. They don't suddenly become united. Do they dismiss the young man because they don't get anybody? They don't kind of from here reach here. One remove the organ. They treat a Yoruba daughter's always spoiled. And a Yoruba has been in the National Assembly since they started democracy. He don't make effort to set up any medical institutions. When we work here, so that they can't go abroad. When they say the person organ work with daughter home, the rest of them to just discharge the boy anyhow. And the one son I come back to Nigeria, he get who will reach him, we want to come back to Empire. I don't say Nigeria and Empire, when we talk about. But the point is, at that point, National Assembly don't begin unite. One begin make the order to favor a senator against that man. And we are Barrister, we spoke, and we say we need to speak up and talk for this matter. They will say what they concern the people. As far as according to Barrister, they talk. As far as he concerned the ordinary man, he concerned us. And we got involved. At the time, they almost want to accelerate the demand for the matter, but we still the matter. Barrister, and the struggle continues. It's too little. Yeah. So I hand over the mic to.
So, legal congratulations to you. The award, same information, because of society organization, award of recognition and appreciation. Wow. Presented to Barrister Daily Idimedio, an award of recognition and appreciation of a distinguished personality that has imparted the growth of the society. This is dated this 10th day of December 2022. Congratulations.
Leadership of this troublemaking organization. We are not the only ones that make trouble. And I'm very glad to see on the high table
the people who are either responsible for making trouble or those who are responsible for controlling those who make trouble, especially the men in black. Have you watched that movie, Men in Black? They are here, Men in Black. So I'm so happy to be here. I thank you for this award. I will take it very highly, more highly than we get invited to receive this or that award, and many of them we don't go. In fact, sometimes we pretend to be asleep, like today, until the spiritual mentor, the man of God himself, called me, because I always imagine why I should be given an award for those opportunities. Few days ago, I went to collect one on behalf of my clients because they said this National Union of Local Government Employees wanted to honor my clients, and the man is very advanced, the woman is very elderly, so they pleaded with me to go on their behalf. So I went there, and I'm always shy in public forum. Maybe you will not realize it, but I'm very shy in public forum. You know, really, that's the truth. Yes, I am. But you may not realize I'm a very intensely private man. Very intensely private. You know, but the nature of one's job sometimes brings you out into public. And then you have to meet great people like the resident electoral commissioner for the entire Edo state. And just to say one or two words, this is our democracy that we have. We cherish it so much. Because there's nothing that compares to democracy. Militarism cannot compare to democracy. Authoritarianism cannot compare to democracy. So we go beg, particularly INEC, make them help us to sustain democracy. Because now the monitoring spirit, the monitoring organization for we politicians, if I might put all of us, we politicians have to be monitored by INEC. Because right now, in the Edo state, you know that we have litigation upon litigation from what essentially should be a simple process. PDP have litigation. ABC, that is supposed to now be the opposition that should learn, have more litigation than PDP. In fact, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court had to set up task force. Judges don't become task force to finish all pre-election matters. One judge got 61, one judge, 61 pre-election matters to do in less than 2 months. Yes, 61. How I go tell you the magic? Court of Appeal judges are complaining that many of these pre-election matters will lapse. Because again, and we are saying it because we are all one. This country belongs. I live abroad for many years. I'm a citizen of UK. But no country can compare to Nigeria to your country. How is it that our legislators, they make laws, they don't read them, they just sign it? They are sure that only the Federal High Court should entertain pre-election matters. They remove it from State High Court. How many Federal High Court judges do we have in Nigeria? Like in Benin City, we have 2. Just 2. PDP, ADP are also going to. If you have heard of it, there's a party called ADP. Yes, they are also going to the Labour Party. One get ticket. I have to problem another person. You know. In that one, I say, now this man, I ain't there that day. We don't know this your sister. So I should help us, because I will come and meet you on Monday. Many things I will talk, but if you give me all this, I will not be talking here. You promise me you will give me all this, I will not talk here. Because Oga is to sanitize a lot of things. The man who was there before, the man who Oga took over from, the day police invited him on petition we wrote, that's the day he was deployed. How can a man write a result dated 26th of May for election that was conducted on 27th of May.
Erroneous.
And the court recently said that is overforged by INEC man. We go through, that's why we are begging INEC, please. You are the umpire. Sometimes we face a lot of things too. Not the only INEC people that they give money. Me as an ESO, that they offer me money. And then when the money they will offer you will come on the day that you are broke. I was doing one case, human rights, when the boy said, when I go visit and I meet Dasha Mune, when I came out, 3 people came to meet me. One man, I say he just came from charity. And that the money that guy has paid me, ready to pay me 3 times, make I remove him for the case. I calculated, the guy had paid me like 3 million. Yes. My brain, if I tell him say 9 million, am I not cool if I walk away with 9M? And I don't remove him, am I the only lawyer in the day? I can even help him pay 500, go look for another lawyer. I cannot do so. For that case, I was threatening my wife. They sent text message to my mother in the village. We know where you are. We know where your wife. We know she sent message to her phone. We know where you work behind the palace. We know your child is who she attends. Tell your husband to remove her from that case. You see, it's a dilemma. Not the only INEC people that they offer money. Not the only poor that they offer money. We are threatened every day. Once you are a human rights lawyer, you are for me. You know, I respect the Soskeyamo, even though these days, no, even these days, you understand? The market, your market, we are human rights activists, yes. So we can judge our own. Yes. When I was in London preparing to come to Nigeria, it was a long conversation with me and myself. How will I come to this kind of country? You live in a country where, when I'm in court and I do a human rights case in London, as the judge is delivering judgment, before I get to the office, the check is waiting for me. In London, that's how it is. Because every day that you don't pay the check, there's an interest. It's calculated. Nobody they mess around. If you are a Queen's Counsel, in fact, the more responsibility on you. You come to this country. I read an article by Keyamo where it said, one day somebody phoned him that we have been asked to kill you for a case you are doing. He said, he now asked the man on the phone, and why have you not shot now? You have collected money, you have not done the work. Why you never kill me now? Make a job time. Another lawyer will take over the work. I mean, you go kill that man, another lawyer go. Then you also kill that man, another lawyer go. So one day you go tired. You know? But that gave me courage. So when they phone me, say, with the grace, I go remember saying, hey, your papa, I should remove her for case. You are an idiot. He said, we know where you are. I said, yes, come. Now who shoot first? And Mr. Kudun, I say, you understand? I say, you understand? Why? You have to cast, you know. I will be able to say, you go cast. I will get cast. Say, before you shoot, I don't release. You understand? So we appeal to INEC. Okay, so you are in charge of all the electoral officers. I beg. May they resist more, may they press these parties. Because now, with due respect to all of you, we have a system where we are now enthroning G guys and Yahoo boys. They have flooded the system with money. I'm not saying they are bad people. Maybe all of us, maybe some of us are part of that system. I don't judge anybody. But imagine your National Assembly being populated. Look at the man who's the presidential candidate. We are saying he has been convicted for drugs. I mean, also, that's going to be a president, possibly a president if you want. Possibly. In the United States, you will not dare, if you have that kind of record, you will not dare. But this is our country. So we appeal to INEC. INEC is the one to say, look, sometimes put your feet down. In Edo State, national body conducted primary for one party and then monitored another one. And the court has said that is wrong. Nobody has been sacked for that. If we cannot give accountability to ourselves, I'm not saying it because it's INEC. As I've said, I will come on to so that we can have an honest to honest talk. You can make a difference. 10 years from today, the difference you make will come and bless you. There are many ways God blesses a man. It's not the only money. When we're in the house of assembly, there were people who always had that money, and they were chopping with it. Today we do that. Many of them are dead. That money, can it sustain your life? I'm not saying that it's because I didn't have money, I'm here. But sometimes, somehow we try to, maybe because of our orientation, sometimes try to walk the path of integrity. Sometimes say no to some certain things, but you will not die. As I tell you, at the O, left, right, and center. And the moment I feel pay, I pay. When I wake up, I look at movement. This woman go ask me money. I will carry my car key. I will come up. That's all I have. You go pay off.
Quickly, we don't have to stay here more. We have achieved today. Who turned out for today's program, most especially our resident electoral commissioner. Ordinarily, as he finish election, he go dust the paper, he go waka. That one you go take no person wey dey patient. And I know say that kind of patience, if he help person do thorough work. We believe, say as you come EDOCSO, the things and the report wey go come from Edo State in regards next year election go different from the reports wey go come from other states positively. I like to say in my capacity as the tech chairman of the civil society organizations, any area where you know say we will be assist, we are ready to work with you and get results. Especially the one that have to do with sensitization. You see that sensitization, that actually be the beam of election. I agree say last when they reach the polling unit that they go still do wetin in their mind. But through that process of sensitization, you will be able to open the mind of many to understand the right thing that they are supposed to do. Coupled with the fact some of us already are going to be observers in this election. We must give the thing the way it happened and the way it be for that place. So we'd like to appreciate you for your patience, for your time that you are giving to us, and the informations that you have also sent and impart in us today. We'd like to say on behalf of the executive and leaders of this movement and members, we say thank you very much. We appreciate it for your time. And also to appreciate all our awardees. Not be to give award though. If you want give award, as we give and finish like this, you will see say like 15 still remain. Now only 2 now you give. All of them came. We want to say thank you for coming, for honoring us to come and receive this award. I like to appreciate the planning committee led by St. Lawrence Keshi, the only saint amongst the troublemakers. But the irony for that is saint be say na him make trouble pass. But he's St. Lawrence, the planning committee chairman, and all members of that committee, we like to appreciate you for making today a reality. And of course, una know say we no dey collect money from any politician or anybody. Na we dey fund ourselves. I want to appreciate every comrade who made their contributions towards the realization of today's program. Because me, I believe in Jesus Christ. I pray that He will refill your pocket bags in 100 folds in Jesus' name. I also like to appreciate all the leaders of study centers and organizations, the coordinators of study centers, of all organizations, and of study centers and all organizations for mobilizing your members. I'd like to say thank you very much and for being here in person. One day, this thing when I do so, it will reach your turn. I hope say we did the planning process, and I believe say we will follow. I'd like to appreciate the #1 coordinator of this movement, who is more than passionate about those civil society organizations. They be plan to kill am, but the death wey they send give am, e no reach am, e no work. As he dey bed, from bed, he still dey solve problem. You go see am say, when you go see am for hospital sometimes, and the time wey e don reach house, you go see people gather. See the wetin dem dey do. You go see this one say one thing. He go come carry that their problem. He go come delegate you. Oya, follow am, go solve the problem. If na the one when he make call, the person when he call dey form say he na Odunga. He go say, oya, follow these people, go and solve this problem. I'm talking about leftists or Monday, who are also supported this. I've been supporting this interim administration. I like to say thank you very much. You never start to the work day, because very soon now me I go wrong. Other people they will take over, and your support they will still need them. Having said that, I like that we quickly stand up and say a closing prayer. While we do the closing prayer, the executive and the committee and leaders will stand with the awardees. And if you know the owe your landlord, go to your house. But in case you do owe, you will meet. Amen. Comrades from Edo Central, I especially appreciate all of you. Please.
Good afternoon. Yeah, can you please tell us your name? My name is Oboy Farah. I'm the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Edo State. Okay, you are welcome to Edo State. Thank you. From your lecture, we just have some words to ask. The question is, how prepared is INEC in carrying the Nigerian youth in terms of voter education and awareness? Well, it's part of why I decided to come for this event when I was invited. So I'll have an opportunity to talk to the people about what they need to know about the election. It is their right to participate in the government of their country, and one way of doing that is to participate directly or through the elected representatives. And they can also only do that if they participate in the upcoming election. And that's what we are telling people. Every vote counts.
And interestingly, amongst the registered voters in Nigeria, the youth make up the majority. So it's actually the youth that will determine who gets into government through the election.
Okay, in the last governorship election in Edo State, we were part of the observer, we were part of also the first trip that went for advocacy. Sensitive materials and enlightenment materials were given to go and share in various communities on the change of modalities of INEC voters process. But by now, we expected that INEC should have done that. What is your plan in the area of this sensitive distribution of sensitive materials?
No, you can't have
non-sensitive material, but I mean IC materials to the interior villages so that they can be informed about the change in
Well, there are various ways we are informing people, and of course it also includes the IC materials. So in every local government we have wards, and in the wards we have officials who are designated to be in those wards to enlighten people. There are some of our staff who go around the market, they meet with different community leaders there to tell them about what we are doing. So there are a lot of activities actually going on now. We also expect civil society organizations that are interested in the publicity to also help us pass the message, through their various contacts, so that people will know what is happening now. So for instance, voters' cards have been ready for collection, and from Monday we are going to continue with the collection, especially for those who registered this year, and the collection will continue every day, including Saturdays and Sundays, until we end the process sometime in January 22nd.
Okay, so most of the difficulties we have discovered from people is that somebody who lives in Idogbo, we find it difficult to come and collect voters card from INEC office at Waeku. Somebody who lives in Megi, we travel to Kaza to go and collect voters card. These are some of the hiccups they have. How do you intend to bring this?
We are starting at the local government level, at the offices of INEC at the local government level. At some point, we will devolve to the wards so that people can collect them. At some point, from the timetable, the time we'll go to the wards and spend at least a week in those places so people can also collect it there.
Okay, so on our own, sir, when you are going to the ward, we will advise you bring out your rosters to give it to a program like Man and Rata. Let them know so and so community, so and so.
We'll certainly do that.
So that the people will be aware and will go and do their.
We'll certainly do that.
Thank you very much. You are very good to the state.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, Leftist, sir, today is World Human Rights Day 2022. What does this day mean to you?
This is a day that no man should be oppressed. It means a day we can also remember those that are passing through oppression, so that we can help them come out from that oppression and that suffering. That is what it represents. Today is Human Rights Day. That's what it is.
A lot of events play out today. What are the messages to the oppressed and to the oppressors? The message you have for those oppressors out there and the oppressed. You have a message for them?
The message I have for the oppressors, number one, is that they should desist, because a lot of activists are erupted from those civil society organizations. They are like eagle. They have eagle eyes. Wherever you are, they will fit you out. So they should stop oppressing people. Therefore, those that are oppressed, they should not keep quiet. They should come to where our secretariat is at Obakaway by Ego House to come and report any oppression that has been done by anybody, irrespective of their popularity, irrespective of their status, whether rich or poor. We're there for the person to serve you better.
Your name again, sir?
My name is Leftist Keshi St. Lawrence.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to Nigeria Watch.
Thank you so much.